Hi. Are you kidding? Are you kidding? Oh my god, this was so stressful. Like, I've been struggling for ages now with just opening my fucking iTunes. How's it going? It's going fucking terribly. I've been struggling with opening fucking iTunes for whatever reason. Like, it just doesn't want to open. And I'm like, hello? But then I realized that it was kind of like crashing with an app I use from my streams to like let everyone know what song is playing. I think that's the one that was messing it up. So I just uninstalled that. And then I was gonna open OBS and it was just like, man, I can't open. There are like some files I can't find. And I'm just like, bitch, what do you mean you can't find the files? And it was like, maybe it will help if you reinstall it. And I did that 3 times. And it was like, no, still can't find it. I uninstalled it. Re-downloaded it from the website. Still couldn't find the fucking files. And I'm like, hello? What? And then I used the OBS Live, which is Stream Elements, I guess like addition to OBS. And that worked. So I'm like, thank fucking god. It was stressing me out so much. I wanted to cry. At least it seems like everything is the way it should be. Like, there isn't anything that's like off. If it is, it's hopefully an easy fix. That was stressful. I just wanted to finish my food. I was just like, hey, I'm gonna be a bit late because I stayed in bed for a long time today. My sister called me like once an hour, 3 hours in a row, and I'm just like, my god, just fucking let me sleep. I was up for like way too long last night. And yeah. She like called me at like 10 a.m. this morning and was like, hey, we're gonna make waffles at like 12. Do you want to come over? And I'm like, sure. And she's like, oh yeah, I'll call you in an hour. And I was just like, okay, sure, that's fine. She calls me in an hour and I'm just like, I'm not sure if I'm gonna go. I don't remember if I said I was gonna go or not. But then she calls me again an hour later and I'm just like, my god, please, just fucking let me sleep. Like, I told her, I stayed up late. Let me fucking sleep. So, I'm cranky. And then my fucking, just everything just fucking fucks itself and so annoying. Anyways, how are you doing? All of us are good with sleep now. That's where it's at. Yeah. Exactly, you get it. My god. That was fucking awful. The entire day preparing it. Ada? For a new cross-stitch piece. That's cool though. I remember we did like cross-stitching when I was in 3rd grade, I think. It was like either 2nd or 3rd grade. We just had to like cross-stitch something or other. Ah, almost like Ibaba with a D, I see. An Ida. Really? Interesting. Also, back to my fucking iTunes. Don't you think it fucking popped up like the second I started the stream and I'm just like, hello? Where were you? It's so annoying. It's a fabric with squares in it and holes to make crosses. Oh, okay, I see. I see. iTunes has fabulous timing, right? Right? And I was just like, you know what? Fuck it. I'll just fucking let the title screen or whatever just go in the background. Speaking of, let's just fucking switch to the screen. Look, it worked perfectly. Thank God. I'm not on the fucking right. There we go. Alright. We're on episode 3 now. The Return of the Great Departed Soul. Interesting. Oh yeah, that's right! It's the exhibition. Yeah.
The grand end of the century great exhibition of London. Surely there is not a soul who has failed to hear of it. Wondrous new works of culture and industry from every corner of the globe had converged on Hyde Park, welcoming over 50 million visitors. The last great hurrah of this century. Astonished and delighted people of all nations, and ended on a note of resounding success. But as regards to the terrible catastrophe that occurred during the festivities, very few are aware my friend Mr. Herlock Sholmes had a hand in unraveling the matter. For from the shadows, it was he who earnestly unearthed the facts of the case. And like the centerpiece of the great exhibition, which rose high into the skies of Hyde Park, Sholmes's brilliant deductions, as clear and lofty as the Crystal Tower itself, brought the truth to light.
Okay.
We're here at the showground of the Great Exhibition, which is absolutely packed with people.
Voice acting in my Ace Attorney?
The weather is unusually fine, and we're about to witness a most extraordinary scientific experiment.
Oh my god, fuck! No! I remember something. I'm gonna save like right as we get into the actual gameplay.
Ladies and gentlemen, the 20th century will see steam engines and electrical power dominate the world.
I was about to say the same thing! I'm like, yeah, Clement, let's go!
Horse-drawn carts will be cart. Ships will sprout wings and take to the skies. And today, we showcase even more advanced technology. A glimpse into the future.
Oh, a glimpse into the future, you say? The future is now thanks to science, hmm?
Voltage instantaneous kinesis machine. A man will literally be disassembled by a pulse of high voltage electricity and beamed to another location.
I can't believe Clement is an Ace Attorney. I never Clement you the great Ace Attorney. Yeah, exactly.
Whereupon his body will be reassembled by a series of complex calculations exactly as it was before.
Although if it is Clement, it will explode. This is Ace Attorney. Of course it will explode.
In but a few moments from now, these gentlemen will, in the blink of an eye, complete an incredible journey through the air. To arrive an instant later on the Crystal Tower behind you!
Please. I was not expecting this.
Yes!
What did I say? What did I say? Oh, fuck. Oh, no, it's too perfect. Okay, yes. I can't. I don't think I can do it here. Hold on. Let me. Hello? Let me save. Real quick. Now where is Eureka? Who knows? Okay, let's go back to the title. I don't need to save it, just saved. It's fine. Okay, cause what I wanted to do was go to special content and Taylor. And there are costumes. I haven't even looked at them. Yes, hell yeah, let's go. Oh my gosh, she's so cute. Oh my god. Oh my god, that... I mean, sure. That's a look, I guess. Hell yeah, let's go. That's what I wanted to do. I forget every single time. Okay, here we go. Bespoke Taylor, I just got a fucking achievement for it.
Bruno, are you listening?
Oh, sorry, what was that, Iris?
What's the matter with you? You've been miles away all morning. Didn't you like what I cooked for breakfast?
No, that's not it at all. What were we talking about again?
Today's paper. It's full of news about the Great Exhibition again.
Ah, yes, the Great Exhibition. I'd like to go sometime.
You're really not your usual self today. You seem very down. Don't you agree, Hurley?
Did you say something, Iris?
Oh gosh, you're even more down.
Everyone is depressed here. Same. When did you arrive, Mr. Naruhodo? I've been here for about half an hour already. We had breakfast together. What? Why didn't you mention it before? I, thought you might have known I was here. You know, because... breakfast? Iris is quite right. You're clearly lacking in vim. So much so that I didn't notice your presence. Thanks. Of course. I could deduce the reason perfectly well within some simple observations. What? Let's see. Yes, for example, your tousled hair this morning with all its unruly spikes. Clearly, it can be deduced, therefore, that... let me stop you there, Mr. Sholmes, because I think I can see where this is going. My hair always looks like this. It always has, ever since we first met, in fact. Oh, really? How interesting. It just doesn't look like a haircut as such, I suppose. Thanks again. It crossed my mind recently that it's been 6 months now.
6 months?
Since I was forbidden from working in court. Okay, so this is after, I see. So I've been wondering how much longer I'm going to be banned.
Oh, well, that would explain why you seem rather glum. Don't you agree, Hurley?
Did you say something, Iris? Back to moping. Hell yeah. My favorite pastime activity. What's the matter with Mr. Sholmes today? He seems even more down in the dumps than me.
I know, and the Great Exhibition has opened. You'd think he'd be excited. Oh, why don't we go see it together?
I want to, of course I do, but I can't. Not for the time being. Why not? Why not? Why not? Because I'm a great detective after all. You're embroiled in some tricky case that you can't be distracted from. Is that it?
I don't remember hearing that you're working on the case, Hurley.
I suppose I should try to find out what's going on. I want to look around, but also I don't because it just takes so much fucking time. Fuck it. Half a year ago now, I took on the defense of a young girl in a trial heard at the Old Bailey. What at first seemed like a simple case of murder that took place at a London pawnbrokery turned out to be one part of a much more far-reaching plot that involved the British government. During the course of the trial, it was found that I made an unavoidable yet at the same time unforgivable mistake.
Words fail me. The situation is utterly deplorable. Mr. Naruhodo?
Yes, my lord. Ignore that I am suddenly wearing different clothes than I was when we originally did this. It's your eyes playing tricks on you.
I will decide upon your fate following the conclusion of this trial.
Of course, my lord. In the end, I had my right to represent people in court revoked. I was told I had to spend my time in research and study, so that's what I've been doing.
You have, haven't you, Bruno? Reading all those big fat tomes about British law up in your room, and the notes about Sholmes' old cases.
Brewing Iris's special blends of tea, fetching my daily bread for me. You've become something of a manservant around here. Start on the silverware next, Master Naruhodo. Well, I'm thinking of going to ask the powers that be to reconsider. Specifically Lord Strongheart at the British Supreme Court of Whitehall.
Lord Strongheart?
Ah, the delightful Lord Chief Justice. Not my favorite fellow. He's not mine either, but he's the man I have to talk to. Yeah, we're still banned from court. He's the only one who can grant permission for me to start working in the courts again. I came to Britain to become the best lawyer I could, and I can't do that just sitting around here. The whole of London has been swept up in this great exhibition, hasn't it? The most advanced science, the most modern technology, the finest works of art and feats of engineering. For the next 6 months, our capital will be showcasing these things, and the world will be watching.
Oh, do you know what I'd like to do? I'd like to look down on London from one of those lovely balloons.
Look down on? Do you mean those things? Fly?
Yes, of course. They fly high in the sky and don't even need wings to do it. All you need is hot air.
Blimps? Maybe the time travel wasn't so off after all. But how? How does hot air have anything to do with flying? It makes no sense. I can't understand it at all.
That's true, a lot of new scientific discoveries. Most people can't... That's true of a lot of new scientific discoveries. Most people can't understand them at first, but in 100 years' time, all these things will just be common knowledge.
I suppose they might be.
Mind you, some of the science being demonstrated seems very questionable. Something went wrong in the open experimentation stage yesterday, apparently. There was a huge explosion. Still, I wish I'd seen it, though. I'd love to see how bad some of these scam experiments really are.
It's the innocent 10-year-old girl. See here, every page of this paper carries some article or other about the Great Exhibition. But the brighter things shine, the darker the shadows that are cast behind them. Personally, I find myself drawn to the darkness, to the impenetrable. That is my proper atmosphere. Iris will be watching worst airplane crashes on Discovery Channel. Yeah. Absolutely. Shadows cast behind. Is that a metaphorical way of referring to the back page of the paper? There he is. Every article on the front page is news about the Great Exhibition. Public experiments to demonstrate brand new scientific ideas, cultural exhibits from around the globe,
It's also positive and hopeful about the coming century. We must all go see it properly before too long. The Reaper attacked. Well, that's... Our boy finally made the newspapers. So many glowing reports about the Great Exhibition and everything that's going on there. Other than this rather gloomy looking one, that is. Wait, what?
What's the matter, Runo?
The Reaper attacked. That's Lord Van Zieks. This must be what Mr. Sholmes was talking about. Does he know any more, I wonder? Lost cat. This is clearly the most important part of the news right here. Who is that lovely fellow in the mask with him? I don't know. Let's ask him about his mood first. Are you investigating a particularly tricky case at the moment, Mr. Sholmes?
You could say that, I suppose.
Nothing more to add? That's not like you. What sort of case is it?
Quiet, Mr. Naruhodo. We must not discuss it here. You never know who might be listening. You're acting very strangely, Hurley.
What do you mean, Iris?
Well, usually, the more mysterious and complicated a case is, the better Hurley's mood. Ah. Is it really a case that's bothering you? Iris, please, you mustn't exercise your astute powers of observation and deduction on me without invitation. Remember what I always say. Put yourself in the shoes of the individual about whom you're making deductions.
You say that, do you? You, Mr. Sholmes.
Never mind. Once I've had a cup of tea, I must make my way at once to the crime scene.
That was a deep sigh. It says in the paper that Lord Van Zieks was attacked. That's terrible.
You know the legend of the Reaper of the Bailey, of course, don't you? Only too well, in fact.
Yeah, you keep bringing it up at like every fucking chance you get. Yes, Prosecutor Barak Van Zieks. They say that if the Reaper is the prosecutor in a case, there's no salvation for whoever's in the dock. Even if the defendant is found not guilty. Once the Reaper has someone in his sights, one way or another, that person's time left on this earth will be short. I mean, isn't Natsume safe in fucking Japan right now? He was fine last time we saw him. I hope he still is fine.
London's finest rogues always find ways around the law. They'll stop at nothing to secure an acquittal at trial. Falsifying evidence, paying sham witnesses, threatening jurors, bribing judges. But even such devious tactics as these cannot save them from the hand of the Reaper.
Everyone died within like 6 months. We better not fucking get a telegram that says he died. I'm gonna be so upset.
As you've experienced yourself, haven't you, Mr. Naruhodo?
Yes, I've seen the Reaper's retribution at work.
Many of these criminal rogues are reckless and quite unafraid to die. If a leader among their fraternity is seen to have been taken by the Reaper, retaliation like this does occur. Really, the capital has a never-ending supply of such scoundrels.
So, do you mean Lord Van Zieks has been attacked like this before? This isn't the first time?
He's quite an accomplished
combat. You know.
He doesn't take these attacks lying down. Although, it seems that his assailants were armed with guns this time.
Oh my goodness! Is he alright then? Is Lord Van Zieks hurt?
My dear fellow, how on earth would I know? Well, in the article here it says, as to what of Lord Van Zieks and his condition, all will be revealed in tomorrow's morning edition.
Oh no, Van Zieks brought a sword to a gunfight. Oh no!
Ah, I see. Well, we shall have to be patient then.
No, I can't wait until tomorrow.
In that case, you shall have to inquire with somebody in the know.
But who? Lord Strongheart, perhaps.
Well, I must be leaving now.
Yes, understood. See you later, Mr. Sholmes.
You really are a shameless liar at sometimes, my dear fellow.
What?
You seek to put me off my guard and follow me, don't you? Well, you would be wasting your time.
The thought hadn't crossed my mind, but now I'm wondering where you're going.
Well then, see you later indeed.
Listen to him. He's still laughing on his way out of the door.
Alright then, Bruno. Let's get going.
Oh, Iris, what are you wearing?
I've got changed to go to the great exhibition. You're going to take me.
What? But I was just going to go to the Supreme Court.
Oh, well that sounds fun too. You're going to take me there then.
Alright, fine. Just fuck. Just lower that weapon, would you? Sorry, I just had to sneeze first.
Of course. And after the Supreme Court, then we will go to see the great exhibition.
Sure thing. I'm a babysitter now. Thank you. Ha. I do not remember what voice I gave him. Oh well. It's been about 6 months now since I was last here. Some things never change, like the sense of foreboding I always seem to feel in this place. Iris just doesn't have a single care in the world. Love that for her. It doesn't seem to be bothering Iris at all, though. She's happily reading over there.
Oh, I love this place! I always find so many interesting books here.
Of course, I was forgetting that you've been here before. The time we came here 6 months ago. When Susato-san was given the news that she was to return to Japan. Ah, I understand you wish to speak with me. Oh, Lord Strongheart! I trust you've been keeping well? Let's see. Since you arrived and requested an audience, it's been 4 hours, 32 minutes, and 26 seconds. I've kept you waiting a while. My apologies. Oh, no, not at all. I like nothing more than standing around staring into space. Good to know. Good to know that doesn't appear to bother him at all. Mael Strongheart, Lord Chief Justice of London. He's the man who allowed me to start practicing as a defense lawyer when I arrived in Britain as a student. We need only savor the air for a moment in this grand office to understand his preeminent status. As you will be aware, the Great Exhibition of London is now underway at last. We're extremely busy as a result. Policing the grounds, guarding the new technologies, dealing with petty crime. And furthermore, as of next month, we shall open the International Forensic Science Symposium. Oh, I have not heard about that. Investigating authorities from 40 countries around the globe will be taking part, including from your own land. Forensic science is the future. The world must embrace it. As we are the hosting nation, I have much to do. And it is my highest priority. If others must wait for my attention as a result, so be it. Well, it's nice to know where I stand. So, you wish to consult with me? Lord Strongheart still gives me Owl Police Chief vibes. What was it, like Damon Gant or something? Wasn't that it? I mean, yeah, they're both fucking birdmen. I think it was, yeah. Of course, I can very well imagine what this is about. Ah, well, thank you for agreeing to this meeting, my lord. I want to be allowed to start working as a defense lawyer again in court. That's what brought me here today. But actually, there's something else playing on my mind, as it happens.
Bruno, just take a deep breath and come out with it.
I actually came here today to ask for your permission. Go on. 6 months ago, my right to work in court as a lawyer was revoked and I was told to spend my time studying. Obviously, I'm very sorry for what happened, but the thing is, it made me understand what it really means to defend somebody under the rules of a foreign justice system. And I desperately want to have another go. Please, permit me to enter the courtroom again. Mr. Naruhodo. Yes? Ugh, here it comes. I'm sure you haven't forgotten your position here, have you? At best, you are a substitute for your compatriots. This was never your intended role. Well, that's true. The Japanese government actually sent my best friend on this study tour, not me. It should have been Kazuma. Wow, rude much. He was so determined to bring change to our own justice system at home. That was his calling. I'm just... Nice. Ah! If that tragic accident hadn't happened, I wouldn't be here in this office now. Mr. Asogi was my best friend, you see. That's why I can't leave it unfinished. I have to fulfill his calling for him. His calling, you say? Has it never occurred to you? But perhaps you know nothing of his true calling. Sorry? The mission with which that young law student was charged. What do you suppose it really was? What do you mean? Mission? He's not making any sense. Never mind. I've read all the reports you've submitted over the past 6 months. It's clear to me that you regret your actions and have been studiously obeying your revised instructions. Do you mean... As of this moment, I reinstate your license to practice law here in Great Britain. Thank you so much!
That's wonderful news, Bruno.
In fact, I believe I have the perfect case to mark your comeback. Curious affair. You'll consider it, I hope. Of course! Please, tell me more! You described it as a curious affair. Yes, that's right. I believe it was reported in the press. Are you aware that there was a serious accident at the Great Exhibition yesterday? Oh, no.
Yes, I read about it. A professor from Germany tried to carry out a crazy experiment.
Germany, you say?
Yeah.
Let me see. How was it described? Super high voltage instantaneous kinesis, I think.
Instantaneous kinesis? As in moving things with a click of the fingers?
That's right. It's just what my herbal blends need. A dash of devil may care.
Whatever the serious accident was exactly, it's clearly captured Iris's imagination. Let's just say it's from France. Just for the fun of it. The professor is from some weird country called Columns. It's an unfortunate business. A large explosion engulfed the public experimentation stage and a man lost his life. A certain Mr. Odi Asman, an investor and a well-known figure in society. A large explosion.
A man died.
The man responsible for the experiment was Professor Albert Hairbrain. Hairbrain? Really? Really? He was detained immediately after the incident and is due to appear in court tomorrow. I really can't. On the charge of murder. What? Murder? If you intend to take on his defense, you should hurry to meet with him at the prison. There is very little time left for you to carry out any kind of investigation. The great exhibition. Scientific experiment gone wrong. And murder? Get out of my depth before I've even started. Still.
We should go to the prison straight away then, and try to meet with this French professor, don't you think?
Definitely. You know what? He's just Clement now. I don't care. He's just gonna be Clement. He's gonna be French. That's it. And anything that's supposed to be fucking German is French, okay? I don't care. He's French now. I've decided. Yes, one more thing about the case. There's a connection with our mutual acquaintance, the Reaper. We have seen the game's lore and decided ours is better. Right? Oh, Lord Van Zieks. How? All sorts of conferences have been taking place around the world to coincide with the Great Exhibition. Next month, the largest and most important of them all will take place at last. The International Forensic Science Symposium. It does seem as though criminal investigation needs to embrace scientific methods, doesn't it? Exactly. London, the global epicenter of culture, science and wealth, now has a population exceeding 6 million. Sadly, crime in the capital is growing at a similarly startling rate, so it's imperative that we use the latest scientific methods to investigate and resolve cases as efficiently as possible. Which is what's known as forensic science, isn't it? Exactly, the future of policing. Regrettably, however, Britain is currently dragging its feet when it comes to the adoption of forensic methods. Oh dear, that's alarming. Exactly, it's extremely alarming. If I were Her Majesty's Attorney General, you can be sure the numbers of crimes committed and resolved in London would be very different to the current figures. And I could cite 12 solid arguments and 223 individual reasons to support my claim. So, sorry? By way of apology for keeping you waiting earlier, I shall detail everyone now. What?
Oh, how fascinating!
It all began 15 years ago. I was... Oh no, he is dissociating. Me whenever anyone talks for more than 2 minutes, right? And that more or less sums up my feelings on the matter, in the simplest of terms, of course. Essentially, to formally establish a forensic investigation division within Scotland Yard. That is my mission. Oh, right, yes, that's wonderful. Exactly. Wonderful is precisely what it will be. Iris isn't paying attention at all. She's got her nose in another book now. You're not paying attention either. Stop. What do you mean?
Oh, is it over? Did you learn anything useful?
I actually drifted off for the most part. I'm surprisingly ardent about forensic science. I don't think there's anything here. You couldn't read all these books even if you were reincarnated 3 times over as a bookworm. It's reading material. No one would notice? At least I wouldn't, even if I was reincarnated 3 times over as a librarian. Okay. It's just like, yeah, no, just take these books. No one would notice. Okay. Yeah, you would really think it would be way noisier in here, right? It's not a clock? What about the huge clock face that forms the window over there?
Some people just make machines that move for the fun of it because they enjoy watching them. Rather like how Hurley makes his rambling deductions just for the fun of it. Even if the outcome isn't quite right.
Never mind all the trouble it gets others into along the way. What's the great idea? We could hide inside these suits. Spy on the Fob Watchmaster to find out what he's really like. Why do you... It's I mean... Sure, I guess? Would you even fit in there? I mean, you're so small. Like, there is no way that would be comfortable for you. I don't think there's anything more to do here. I sure hope there isn't anyway. I'll just... Lord Chief Justice's desk. When you look at that, there's no mistaking Lord Strongheart's authority, is there?
The light from that window behind is far too bright. It would be very bad for the eyes.
I hadn't thought of that. There are no curtains, that's for sure.
What's more important? Having a desk with an air of authority or having eyes that work?
I can't say I'd ever considered it. After all, my little office barely has any light to speak of, and I haven't really seen my desk in a while. Okay, yeah, no, there's nothing here. Cool. We love wasting time. Let's go to the prison and talk to Clement. Warden said cell 11. That's this one.
There's someone curled up in the ball on the back corner. Look!
What's his name again? Professor Clement, wasn't it? Excuse me, Professor Clement. Who are you? I'm Ryunosuke Naruhodo. I'm a defense lawyer. A lawyer! Was it something I said? A lawyer, you say? Would you be here about the experiment? Are you going to defend my hypotheses? Your hypothesis? Sorry, I don't... Yesterday's demonstration! That demonstration was... That magnificent demonstration was... It was an out-and-out success by anyone's calculations. but despite that, no one listens. No lawyer believes in the science when it's explained they all leave at high velocity. Now's probably not a good time to mention that your zeal made my concentration leave for a while too. You mentioned the demonstration yesterday.
The papers have called it a spectacular failure. After all, a man died in the explosion, didn't he?
Yes, you could interpret the results that way if you really wanted to. Well, I suppose in the strictest sense, the experiment was a failure, but at the same time it was a great success. You've lost me. I saw it with my own eyes, right there in front of me. Mr. Assman. I want to call him Assman. Please, his name is fucking Assman. No, it's Assman now. Mr. Assman was spontaneously disassembled. Until then, everything was going exactly as my calculations had predicted. Assman. At that point, he should have been beamed to the Crystal Tower by instantaneous kinesis. However, the machine exploded and Mr. Assman in fact perished. Yes, I can't deny that part of the experiment was a failure. So what you're really saying is the large explosion that killed Mr. Assman was an accident, correct?
By the bigwigs, but the bigwigs had you arrested on suspicion of murder.
I was responsible for a man's death. That is the immutable truth here. And for that, I wish to be punished, at once. But... murder! Never in a million years! It was an accident! Simply an accident! I see.
Ellie and I were talking this morning, you know. He said the situation would change completely depending on whether it was treated as an accident or murder.
How exactly?
Well, if it really was an accident, then the professor's machine would be kept in protective custody.
On what grounds? Ah, yes. It's newly established here in Britain, the Special Dispensation for Scientific Equipment Act. That one passed me by.
But if the case is treated as murder,
then they'll say my machine was a murder weapon, and they'll be able to pour over it as much as they like. If they examine it in detail, they'll find out how it's made, and then they'll be able to copy my idea. My precious hypotheses will be stolen. My machine must be protected from that at all costs. That's why it's imperative that this whole incident is shown to have been an accident in tomorrow's trial. God. Ah, I see now. So, in short, there was a terrible accident at the Great Exhibition Showground yesterday. Yes! Or rather, no! The devil's in the details. Strictly speaking, there was a terrible explosion. Sounds the same to me.
You were demonstrating super high voltage instantaneous kinesis, weren't you? How fascinating!
Humans, like all matter, are made up of particles that are held together by electrical bonds. So it must be possible using a sufficiently high voltage to break those bonds and beam the particles through space. That's it in a nutshell. That's my idea, you see? That's my amazing hypothesis. Gosh, that's unimaginably high-level science. Oh, but dare to imagine it! Dare to dream of such incredible technology! The future is now thanks to science! Just think, one moment I could be here in this cell, and the next I could be at the Great Exhibition again. Well, yes, that would be incredible. His name matches the old flag of Germany. Shh, no it's not. Anything to do with Germany is actually French. In this case. And the next, in the mere blink of an eye, I would be at a great Parisian theater, say. I mean friends. Yes, of course. The possibilities are endless. The whole of our vast planet would be within reach. So no more hiding in wardrobes on rocky seas for 50 days.
I don't really see it like that.
What do you mean, Iris?
Well, if you could travel anywhere in the world instantly, the planet wouldn't really seem vast anymore, would it? I think it would feel like it had shrunk.
My word! That's exactly right! What are the implications? What does this mean?
That's got Professor...
Bunny brain? What can we...
That's got Professor Lemon really worried by the look of it.
Got it. Saved it. Wait, actually, in Japanese, the father, Meyer, is Limone-san, which means that technically their last names are Limone, so Lemon isn't wrong. Imagine naming your fucking child, yeah. Imagine naming your fucking child Clement Lemon. Hell yeah. Clearly this is yet another case of just because you can doesn't mean you should, I suppose. Lemon, the moon of science. The point is, my calculations are flawless. The science works. But without a practical demonstration, it means nothing. And that's always the fly in the ointment.
Because practical demonstrations cost a lot of money. Money that young scientists like you don't have.
That's exactly it, yes.
Hurley's always complaining about it. He says the government should invest more in science.
Well, anyway, I bumped into him at the right time. I met the well-known investor, Mr. Assman. I can't. Does that not look like that one of those fucking emotes we have? I'm sorry. Not here, but in the server, or our server, I guess. It does. The victim who died in yesterday's terrible accident, you mean? The full name of the man who died in yesterday's accident was Mr. Odie Assman, wasn't it? Why did they fucking choose Why did they choose Assman as a name? Why? What exactly was your relationship with the man? First visited me in my laboratory in France a year ago now. Said he wanted to invest in my immaculate hypotheses. I thanked my lucky stars. I see, so you hadn't really known each other until then. I hate how the similarities are just they're just too much. Like literally.
Money for scientific research. I'm so envious.
As far as I was concerned, the man was an angel. Oh, really? An archangel, even. He was prepared to fund a practical demonstration of my hypotheses for the presentation at the Great Exhibition. And if that went well, I could expect additional financial support for my research from the British government. Mr. Assman provided me with the money and an exceptional engineer. He produced a machine to my precise specifications.
But then, your dreams were blown to dust in one enormous explosion.
It's like the thing on top of his head. I mean, sure, it's just like a cowlick or whatever, but is it though? Is it though? I would never. ever have thought of taking the man's life. Hold on. I forgot to open that. Yeah, you found the emoji. Yeah. Hello, Breeze CG. Welcome. Hope you're doing well today. Well, he seems genuine enough. I don't think he's lying. Why would he want to kill the person funding his project? First time playing this game? Yes. Do I have anything I can show him? The newspaper, maybe? Oh, how could this have happened? It must feel awful, as well as a man losing his life. The Crystal Tower was greatly damaged too. I know what happened! It must have been that! Wait, the Crystal Tower, doesn't that... It looks a lot like the Eiffel Tower. Nah. That? The day before the demonstration, I had my usual meal in Frankfurters. No, usual meal of baguettes at the hotel restaurant. We're going fucking stereotypical here. Just baguettes. Nothing else, just baguettes. When I paid the bill, they gave me 3 shillings too much in change. But instead of saying anything, I just slipped the coins into my pocket. They're still there now. Baguettes, wine, and cheese. Yeah, sounds about right. It's divine retribution for my wrongdoing. That's what this is. For a scientist, he has some very illogical anecdotes. Long and illogical. Fascinating, yes! In Japan, where I come from, is a symbol of a defense lawyer. Wearing it is very bracing, I find. Your words make some sense to me, but they are entirely illogical. What do you mean? Well, for example, I find this white laboratory coat that I wear for my work very bracing too. However, in my case, there was a perfectly logical reason for that feeling. Oh, really? What is it? I purchased the wrong size by mistake. This one is too small for me. The sleeves especially are extremely bracing. I can barely move my wrists. It looks big enough to me, but sure. That's what you call logical, is it? Of course! It's entirely logical. That's science, Mr. Naruhodo! Okay. Do I just leave? I think I just leave. I don't think there's anything here for me. Bye-bye. Okay, I guess you're still here, so obviously there's something I need here. Can I show you the newspaper? Oh, that reminds me! Have you seen this? The reports of the overwhelming success of the Great Exhibition, of course. No, not that. The story on the back page. What story? The Reaper attacked. Ah, that. You've enjoyed some victories in court against my #1 prosecutor, have you not?
Poor Mr. Reaper, what happened to him?
Did he show the front page and then go, no, the back page, you dingus? Yeah.
He wasn't killed, was he?
There's no need for concern. Lord Van Zieks would not be so easily dispatched, I assure you. Can you tell us what happened? I'd really love to know. Very well. If it interests you. It does, strangely. There we go. I knew there was something more I need to do here. Fortunately, Lord Van Zieks emerged from the attack unscathed. Street ruffians are no match for that man. He is a very capable fighter. He did bring a sword to a gunfight. but that's incredible! They were armed with guns! Why was he attacked though? Do we know? It's related to events that occurred a month ago. leader of one of the capital's criminal organizations, was indicted and prosecuted by Van Zieks. But the man was acquitted. I have no doubt large sums of money were involved behind the scenes. Large sums of money? A deplorable situation. Members of the jury were bribed, it seems. However, despite winning his freedom, the man in question met a dramatic end yesterday. But you're not suggesting that was the work of the Reaper, surely? The victim's henchman certainly seemed to think so. It was a man by the name of Assman. Mr. Odie Assman. Interesting. What? The jury was bribed? But the jury is always so fair, right? It's always so fair towards the prosecution. Did you say Assman?
That's the man who died in the big explosion at the Great Exhibition.
Yes, known publicly as an investor, but in reality, the head of a significant criminal organization. Unbelievable. I wonder, could I ask you something, Miss Lord Strongheart? Try me. Why do you use Lord Van Zieks as a prosecutor? All the criminals who manage to get off in court then meet with mysterious ends outside the courtroom. And fearful of that fate, they seek to strike at Lord Van Zieks first. I know there's no evidence that he actually is the Reaper in that sense, but still, something's clearly going on here. I have Van Zieks work for the prosecution service for 2 reasons. Firstly, the man is the best prosecutor in the capital, bar none. And secondly, any deaths of criminals that have occurred outside the courtroom following his trials are nothing to do with him. But that doesn't make sense. How can you explain the way so many have died if not by someone's hand? Van Zieks may have earned himself the moniker of the Reaper, but he is no killer. So he will continue to prosecute on behalf of the Crown. Unless he wishes otherwise, of course. I must be leaving for my next engagement. Okay, there we go. $11 late? Sir? That's quite something. That meeting had already started when I arrived back here for this engagement with you. So lateness was inevitable. Time stops for no man. About as late as my morning train! Yeah, if your morning train is like 11 hours late, I don't doubt that you're gonna be late. It could just be someone who kills the people he sees. Van Zieks did not get a guilty verdict for. Doesn't mean Zieks is involved. True, true. I'm sure it stopped for me during those 12 solid arguments and 223 reasons. Oh, yes, where would I find Lord Van Zieks now? I would assume he is at his office. Right, I'll go and ask him about the attack in person. I want to get this straight from the horse's mouth. Away with you now. I'm leaving Professor Clement's defense entirely in your hands. Oh, of course, yes! Thank you very much, my lord. We've never been here. To the prosecutor's office. I can still remember my bus being 2 hours late in winter since the bus driver decided to eat a pizza. Hello? No way. Damn. I don't think... Is that even legal? I hope it isn't. I'm sorry, this is like way too fucking similar to a fucking, to Damon Gant's office.
This is way too similar. The only thing that's missing pretty much is the fucking organ. People were not happy since it's the only bus that went home. Yeah. Yeah, I can understand that. Especially if it's like 2 hours late in winter. And it's just like, oh no, I just wanted to eat a pizza. I don't fucking care. Just slightly more medieval, but otherwise it's so is his office. Yeah!
Oh, so this is legendary Reaper's office.
Yes, it appears so.
Oh, it sends a chill down your spine, doesn't it? What an amazingly deathly atmosphere.
Oh, is that... That hooded figure was so still, I hadn't noticed his or her presence. I wonder who it is. Who? What are you doing here? Okay. He's as unwelcoming as I thought he'd be. Actually, maybe even more so. I really hope that Funseeks makes that scale model of the Great Exhibition himself. Yeah, that would be really cute, actually. Oh, I'm glad to see you're well. I am. So, who's the person over by the wall being punished for something or other? No punishment is taking place here. Oh. It's my apprentice, and he's sitting there of his own free will. I didn't know you had an apprentice. It must be the same person who was pictured in the newspaper. He's very able in combat, a requisite skill for anyone under my tutelage. Tutelage? Are you referring to the attack on the Reaper that was reported in the papers? The Reaper? I'd be interested to know the Reaper's true identity myself. Assuming, that is, such a fabled fiend genuinely inhabits our great courtrooms.
Look, it's a scale model of the Great Exhibition showground.
That's amazing. I wonder why it's here.
Perhaps he made it to take his mind off the sadness of being too busy to attend in person.
Or perhaps he's too embarrassed to queue up for a ticket. Surely it's obvious that I'm using it as an investigative aid. You Nipponese have no business painting others as overly reserved. Ugh, I really didn't think he'd overhear that. Nah, he did that himself. I don't care. It really looks like a punishment to me.
I've never seen someone sitting like that before.
He hasn't moved a muscle since we arrived. You think perhaps he's dead?
If he was dead, Runo, he wouldn't be sitting up, would he?
That depends. If he was sitting that way when rigor mortis set in, it's fully possible, I believe. Well, anyway, dead or alive, he's not overly approachable, is he? I don't think he's going to talk to us.
He's not dead.
Look at all those ancient casks lining the wall there. Not the fucking bats in the background, please! Please! Oh my god.
Casks in the Reaper's chamber? Or are they caskets?
You don't think all those people who escaped conviction in court are lying inside them dead, do you? What ridiculous notions are going through your head, man? This is my collection of fine vintages.
It is a lot of wine. Oh, yes, of course. Thank you for clearing that up.
Bruno and I were just musing to ourselves. Don't mind us, Mr. Reaper.
You look so insulted, right? I wouldn't if you hadn't invited yourself to my office to talk nonsense within my earshot. Oh, we're gonna continue doing just that. The fucking bats, please. They were bats!
Yes, the Reaper's familiars, I expect.
But what about the mute man in the dark cloak? I thought he was a familiar. Just not the fine kind.
He must be a dear friend of Mr. Reaper, then.
I think the familiar idea is more likely. Scary, though. Either way. That portrait really dominates the room, doesn't it? It's a very majestic outfit and pose, but sadly, whoever painted it didn't do a very good job of capturing Lord Van Ziek's facial features.
Yes, you're right. I mean, it's not far off, but the artist has exaggerated his subject's handsomeness, I think.
I love the visual of them just walking around his office pointing and talking about things while the Reaper stands at the desk just wondering why God has forsaken him. I mean, that's pretty much what's going on. That reminds me. I heard Emperor Napoleon of France ordered artists to make him look more attractive when they painted him.
Oh, Vane, that's really not an attractive quality in a person, is it?
That portrait does not depict me. Surely that is immediately obvious. Oh, then who is it? He has a twin brother. Oh, let me just... Can I look closer at it? Okay, yeah, no. Okay. Van Zieks has this, like, scar on his face. A brother, I guess? Maybe? Or an ancestor. Could be either one, to be honest. Lord Van Zieks' desk. Look, it's so stylish.
That's a marble chess set beside it.
Chess! That's the Western version of our Japanese shogi game, isn't it? You know, I'm actually quite good at shogi problems.
Oh, really? You'd probably like chess problems in that case.
I'd love to challenge Lord Van Ziek sometime. Chess, you say? To a bout of shogi problems.
If you only really want to challenge yourself, you can always do that on your own at home.
A very big painting to hang of someone in your own office. I mean, if it depicts, like, a big name in your lineage, I don't see why not. Look at that fine collection of hallowed chalices and bottles neatly lined up there. My hallowed bottles are filled with the essence of the finest grapes from the finest vineyards I visit. Is that mini chess like 5 spaces on that board? I didn't even realize that. Hold on. And I personally oversee these chalices being made by the finest crystal craftsmen in the world.
And yet you throw them around in court like they were worthless.
Yes, because this imbecile is so unimaginably and repeatedly wide of the mark sometimes. Oh! Before you open your mouth next time, you should consider the poor artisans whose work you defile. You're the one chucking them all over the fucking place. You can't blame this on me. You made the decision to pick up that fucking chalice. And yet Naruhodo has beat you each and every time, right? So it's my fault? Silly me. How could I ever have thought otherwise? I think that's it. Yeah, that is a very small chess set. Now that you mention it. Not very to scale, is it? Let's talk to you now. Lord Strongheart said the assault last night was some sort of revenge attack? It's literally 5 spaces wide. Yeah, it really is. True, carried out by henchmen of the Odie Assman's criminal organization. The investigation meant their arrests were imminent. Presumably some hoped to kill me before that happened. Odie Assman. He's always masqueraded as one of London's most powerful financiers, a global investor, but his enormous wealth came to him by underhand means, via his criminal activities.
And he used that money to buy himself a verdict of not guilty when he found himself in court, didn't he? Being prosecuted by you, Mr. Reaper.
But the man got his comeuppance in the end. Yesterday, in fact, in extraordinary circumstances. It was a most unusual cause of death. I know about that. It was super high voltage instantaneous kinesis gone wrong. So the person who was killed in the explosion of Clement's machine was also a very shady man. Yes, it appears so. Mr. Assman died when the demonstration... I can't fucking take myself seriously when I say Assman. Died when the demonstration on the public experimentation stage ended in an enormous explosion. Correct. And you think I have some kind of divine ability to cause an accident like that to happen, do you? Well, no, that does seem a little far-fetched. If this man really is the fabled Reaper, then he has to be innocent of this particular death at least.
It's strange how this has worked out, isn't it, Runo? I mean, what with you taking on the Professor's defense for the trial tomorrow?
What? You're going to be defending him? Oh, yes, that's right. Though I barely know the man's name yet, to be honest. Clement. That's right! Do you know him by any chance? Of course. He's a contemporary of mine. We were at university together. You're...
What?
I'd understood that Professor Clement was from France, though. Oh, interesting. From a respectable British family, you say? After graduating from the University of London, he moved to France to carry out research, that's all. So you were students together. I was in the Faculty of Law, of course, and he in science, so our paths rarely crossed. But curiously, we got along, though I have not met him since my university days. I certainly didn't expect our next encounter to take this form. And with you, of all people, representing him. Only if I make it out of this office alive. He's actually been charged with murder, it seems. Yes, I know. Because the prosecution will be handled by me. What? Really? I never would have seen this coming! Wow! Oh my god, this is so shocking! Oh my... Really? Van Zieks? As the prosecutor? Oh my god, you guys! By you? But you made it sound as if you and the professor had been friends. We are friends, it's true. Then why would you do this?
If the Reaper is the prosecutor, there's nothing anyone can do to save him. He's doomed.
Such a plot twist. What's Lord Van Zieks thinking? What do you mean by what you said before? If you'd like to know the Reaper's true identity, does that mean I'm a crown prosecutor and a mortal like any other? I'm no demigod.
But they've all died, haven't they? The people you've prosecuted, I mean. Whether or not the trial ended in a conviction or an acquittal.
Those I prosecute are the vilest wretches of our society. Not always!
Why are you in denial? How many fucking trials has there been at this point where you've lost? Because the suspect was very much innocent.
People who without question deserve to be found guilty. The world is a better place without them. But that's not true of Mr. Natsume, for example. He wasn't a vile wretch at all.
Nor was Ginny. In fact, she's ever so hard-working now.
I can't deny that since I encountered you, things have taken a turn, but the point is this. If any of those vile wretches that escaped justice subsequently died in mysterious circumstances, it was at the hand of their own kind. It's not my work. Lord Strongheart said the same. He believes you're not involved in any way.
But you were attacked by those ruffians because they believe it's true.
The fact is, since people started to call me the Reaper of the Bailey, the number of serious crimes in the capital has dropped substantially. Oh, it would appear that even the most hardened criminals can be made fearful for their lives. Do you mean to say... I mean to say that if my pseudonym serves a useful purpose, I adopt it gladly and with honor.
But it's putting you in danger! You could be killed!
If that is my fate, let God decide. Lord Van Zieks. Can I show you something? Newspaper, I guess? Lord Van Zieks, about the article in this paper. Ah, yes, it seems there was a reporter nearby when that little skirmish took place. I had no idea it had been photographed. It was careless of me.
It looks as though it was taken after the people who attacked you had run away, though.
Rest assured, the police have already apprehended every last one of them.
There's someone else fighting alongside you, it seems. And I think it's the same man who's sitting over there as we speak, isn't it?
As I mentioned already, he's my apprentice.
Perhaps you could tell us a little more about him. Okay. What do we have here so far? Okay, just these guys. That's Mr. Assman. How do you pronounce that? This is the second time it's come up. I can't not look it up. Okay. Okay, so it's tutelage. Good to know. He's in my tutelage to become a prosecutor. So you could say he's my apprentice, I suppose.
Like you are to Hurley then, Runo.
I don't remember taking an apprenticeship with the great detective.
He's currently compiling a report about last night's attack.
It looks like he's wearing some kind of mask. I pronounced it as turtle lag!
On Lord Strongheart's orders, nobody knows the man's face, or indeed his identity.
But why would you agree to take on such a clearly suspicious individual?
Lord Strongheart's orders again. He's not one for meaningless follies. There will be a good reason for his actions.
I hope you're right. Okay, bye. Okay, hi. Hello?
The task is complete. Good. In that case, you can collect all the briefs.
Nice to meet you.
Okay, bye. Back to work again. That was really strange, though. I've never met the man before. I didn't even know he existed, and yet... somehow it didn't feel like our first encounter. Don't bother trying to converse with him. He says nothing to anybody from outside this office. Is it just me, or does that dude really look like Kazuma? I mean, that jawline. I mean, I guess? I don't know, but how? Why? He died! Hello? Lord Strongheart is strictly forbidden it. Oh, I see. Why are you so interested in my apprentice anyway? Oh, no, I mean, sorry, I didn't mean to... Does he have a brother? I don't know. The way he stood there so casually, yet with that flawless posture. It couldn't be. Is he thinking the same thing? Ah, yes, there's something I've been meaning to ask you. Oh, what's that? That Nipponese man, is he faring well? Sorry? The one arrested twice in succession 6 months ago, with a stoop, and a mustache, and the jitters. Ah, Mr. Natsume, you mean?
I'm not sure he'd be very pleased to find out you identified him from that list, Runo.
Or maybe Soseki came back as a prosecutor? He's way too calm. There's no way. He's fine, thank you. In fact, I received a letter from him by international post only the other day. I see. Well, I think we can end our discussion here. There, don't you? There's little time left before tomorrow's trial. I advise you to spend it investigating the case. Yes, thank you for the advice. And for the conversation. Can't believe he's asking after Soseki-san. After a Nipponese. I'm not sure whether to feel happy about that or worried.
I never imagined that Mr. Reaper would be friends with a mad scientist, did you? That's a turn up for the books!
A mad scientist? Ah, you mean Professor Clement? Yes, it might be worth quizzing the professor about his relationship with Lord Van Zieks, I think. Alright. Let's go to prison. Hello! I understand Lord Van Zieks is a friend of yours from your university days. Yes, that's right. He was studying law whilst I was studying science. What was he like back then? Good question. Unassuming, gentlemanly, and all-round nice fellow, really. It's too fucking similar. Van Zieks? Sorry, I think you misheard me. I'm talking about the cold-hearted, merciless prosecutor Baruch Van Zieks. What was he like when he was at university?
Talk about a leading question, Runo.
As I said, an unassuming and extremely pleasant gentleman. After all, he is a little darling of the Van Zieks family, with all its great aristocratic origins.
I didn't realize he had quite such noble blood.
Little darling. It was a bit of a shock when I came back to Britain and learned what he'd become. The Reaper of the Bailey, no less. Yes, that's right. I did hear, though, and there was a very big event in his life that completely changed him after graduation.
Really? What's...
Oh, sorry, that's not... Really? What sort of event? I'm sorry. I don't know anymore. I wasn't in the country at that time. I was in France already. Oh, yes, of course. If he's heard all about the Reaper, I really don't have the heart to tell him that Lord Van Zieks will be the prosecutor in court tomorrow. So, Professor, let me just make absolutely sure I've understood you properly. The huge explosion that occurred yesterday, that was an accident, you're saying? You had no intent to harm the victim, who was in fact the sole investor in your work. Is that correct? As correct as 2 squared is 4! I swear it! Yes, it's true that the man perished in the machine of my invention, so I know that I'm far from blameless in all this. But still, I would never use my discoveries, my inventions, to take a person's life, not in a centillion years. I'm a man of science, it's all I know. You have to believe me, please. Do you believe me? Do you believe in my hypotheses? Science is the pursuit of truth, you know. I've always believed that, all my life. I'm afraid I don't know much about science, or your theories. But I do believe you, and I will fight to prove your innocence with all my might. I'm a man of the law, it's all I know. You have to believe me, please. It sounds like he's mocking him. When I went to live in France after I graduated, I learned something very important. Nationality, class, lineage, none of that matters. As long as you try your hardest, you can achieve anything. Thank you for that, Professor. And thank you in advance for defending me tomorrow in court. I have even found a way to carry a whole kitchen on my back. I remember when we were watching the anime and we were like, who carries the table? But it seems like you can actually put like regular items in them. In the Pokeballs, I mean. Which like I guess makes sense because you like find items in Pokeballs in the games or whatever. But like I still can't make sense of it. It's just like, does this Pokeball contain a table? Or a Bunnelby? We may never know.
Alright, Bruno, it's time! Time to visit the Great Exhibition.
Sorry?
Well, that's where the incident happened, isn't it?
Yes, I suppose that's true. Time to investigate it last. Okay, bye, Clement. Go Eevee! Oh shit, that's my table! It really be like that, huh? The showgrounds are a little too big for my liking. We've been walking around in dense crowds for 2 hours now. I felt myself swooning 3 times.
There are a lot of people, aren't there? I've almost been trodden on 3 times too.
Be careful, won't you, Iris? Don't let go of my hand. We finally made it through the throngs, though. By the look of it. Here we are, underneath the public experimentation stage, where the explosion happened yesterday. What's that? Oh, they're just regular balloons, okay. I can hear voices from up on the stage. It sounds like an argument. I guess label machines are a Poke-Trader's best friend. I've had it with you this time. I'm warning you. I'll arrest you in a minute.
Oh yeah? Go on then, Spectre. Give it a shot. You ain't got no evidence and you know it.
Wait, I know those voices. You got a cheeky little mouth from you, young lady. But not in the cells will teach you some manners.
Just try it, I dare ya. If you want the bag of chips rammed down your throat. Yoo-hoo! Grexy, what are you doing up there?
Those poor squashed fries.
Sorry, in London we call them chips.
It's you! Here! You here! Here you are! Your ladyship! How are you, your ladyship? I do hope you're well, your ladyship. Does that make her 3 times a lady?
I'm not well at all. It's far too busy everywhere.
Those poor squashed potato sticks!
I wanted to ride in the balloon, but there was a 3-hour queue.
Unbelievable! I'll go and have a word for you at once, your ladyship. I'll be flying as light as a kite in no time once I pull some strings for you. Tobias Gregson, an inspector at Scotland Yard. Until recently, he was suspended from duty, and it would appear he's back in action now. He's actually quite well known, appearing as he does in the adventures of Sherlock Holmes. And for that reason, he can't say a word wrong to the story's author, Iris. But there are limits, surely. Or there should be. What's it, sunshine? Sorry. What gives then? Don't tell me you're on this case. Yes, I'm acting for the defense.
So we are here to investigate.
Dear me, that's the situation, is it? Is it really that troubling?
A measly 5 bob? Is that all you got? You're a lawyer, ain't you? You should stand to carry a bit more copper around your pockets, Mr. Naruto.
What? Hey! That's my last bit of spending money, that is!
You can have it back, but I'll have to charge you for all the bother. 3 bob.
This is Gina Lestrade, a pickpocket, or diver, born and bred in the East End of London. In the case that led to my own suspension 6 months ago, this is the young girl I was defending in court.
What's your problem, Ayodo? Diver, pickpocket, what's with all the name calling? You want a bag of chips rammed down your throat and all, do you?
I thought you were proud to be a diver, Gina. You were just arguing with Inspector Gregson about it, weren't you? I assumed you'd been up to your usual tricks here at the showground.
That ain't no way to talk to a lady, Odo. For years a long time, people can change. I'm an apprentice now, learning to be a Scotland Yard detective. So you'll have to call me what everyone else does. It's Inspector Lestrade now.
Inspector? That badge is homemade, surely. Inspector Pot isn't entirely accurate. No one calls her that. For what it's worth, anyway. Investigating this off the cards for all of us.
What's that supposed to mean?
Right, well, I'll be back up top. You hold the fort down here, alright?
Right, it's that.
I figured she would become an investigator. I love that for her, honestly. This raises a lot of questions. Protect Gina, yes. Very much so. It was 8 months. 8! God, I can't fucking I can't speak! It was 8 months ago now that I first encountered Gina in connection with a case I was working on. At the time, she was living in the East End with a group of other orphans. She helped all of them survive by pickpocketing. But then she got embroiled in a murder.
I had a lot of time to think in prison. I realized I couldn't go on like I was. Diving wasn't working out. Oh, I'm so pleased to hear it, Ginny. Well done.
So, you went from being a pickpocket to a detective?
You got it. Good, innit? Inspector Lestrade. Sounds like something out of the book, eh?
Talk about a sea change.
And then there's Iris's old man to think about.
Iris's father? You mean...
Yeah, I promised her, didn't I? I said I'd get all the police forces around the world to pull out all the stops looking for him.
Yeah, about that. Just a small promise then. Nothing serious. Sounds like something from a book. Yeah.
Oh, Ginny, you're so sweet. So anyway, that's how come I had to go at the test for Scotland Yard. Only trouble is, I don't read so well, do I?
Just a small problem. Nothing serious.
And that's when Hurley approached Grexy and asked for help. So the inspector said he'd take full responsibility for Ginny and made her a sort of apprentice.
That was very magnanimous of Inspector Gregson and brave.
Well, you know Hurley. He enjoys finding ways to make people do what he wants.
The great detective likes digging for dirt, in other words.
So, the long and the short of it is, if you got questions about the case, you can ask Inspector Lestrade.
Right then, Inspector. Actually, there's still a big mystery surrounding Gina, isn't there? The great detective and the great manipulator. We love it here.
What, Bruno? What?
Well, 6 months ago, Gina was the defendant in a trial prosecuted by the Reaper. A trial in which she was found not guilty, and yet here she is still.
Come on, you're not still on about that, are you? Legend of the Reaper or whatever it's called. Court, you don't have worry, although.
If I didn't have worry, there probably wouldn't be a whole lot of you left.
It's like I told you before, innit? The Reaper's kind of like him. The Reaper's kind of like him upstairs, so he knows what I'm like on the inside. That I ain't really done nothing wrong.
Nothing wrong might be stretching a point, I was about to say. I was like, you used to be a pickpocket?
What about Mr. Natsume in Japan? In Japan, he's perfectly fine, isn't he?
Well, that's true. Perhaps the Reaper is more discerning than I thought.
Exactly. So I ain't worried. I'm totally fine.
Hold on, let me just look around here a bit. There's stuff on the ground.
Look, what's this? A ribbed piece of cloth.
It's not like any fabric I've ever seen before. So 2 people are safe from the curse. Interesting. It's very thick and stiff. It looks extremely durable.
It's canvas, I think, with some sort of rubber backing. And the edges appear to be a bit charred as well.
Maybe that means it had something to do with the explosion.
Let's make a note of it while Jin is mid-yawn. It looks as though somebody dropped something behind the tree just here.
Dropped or hid? That's not a very good fucking hiding spot. What is this? Some part of the machine that exploded?
Maybe. It could have fallen from the platform above in the blast, perhaps.
What's going on here? Oh, nothing. I think I'll hang on to this just in case. It's propped up against the tree, not exactly hidden. He really fucking took it? What's going on here? Let me just fucking grab this entire thing and just stuff it down my pants. Like, what? For some reason, the ground is damaged in this spot. Look. Almost as if there was a fire here or something.
Yes, if you look closely, there's some scattered ash and burned embers too.
Well, I suppose there was a big explosion just above here. People probably wouldn't bat an eyelid at a small fire like this. Like this would have been. Okay.
I'm not sure we English are quite that laid back, Bruno.
These stairs obviously lead to the stage above. We should go up there and investigate the exact spot where the experiment was being conducted. Oh, I didn't actually mean to go up here yet, but it's fine. So that's it, is it? The machine that blew up?
Oh, it must have been a magnificent explosion, and I've seen my fair share.
Maybe he is the 1,000 pocket get-up, cargo pants, tactical socks, and sandals. Yes, this sounds very likely. You've seen things like this before, you mean?
Of course. Hurley's always doing experiments that end in a bang. In fact, in his own words, explosions are the very essence of chemistry.
That might explain the smell of burning that frequently comes wafting up the stairs.
One time, he made something that exploded with such force it took the roof of the building. We should been there to see it, Bruno.
It's hard to get too excited about that, given that I now live in the roof.
Well, anyway, that's enough about that. It's time to investigate.
Well, look, Inspector Gregson is over there. He seems to be deep in thought about something, whilst eyeing up the machine carefully.
Really, he just looks confused to me.
Is it gonna let me investigate before I talk to him? It ripped itself apart magnificently, didn't it?
Magnificently and mercilessly.
So someone stands in the middle of the machine to be disassembled and then beamed through the air.
Yes, beamed. Not blasted. That's the point.
Yes, that part's crucial, really. Is something like that even possible, though, Iris?
Oh, Bruno, I'm just a child. How should I know?
A child when it suits you, you mean?
From what I can tell, I think if you were to pull this lever here...
Stop! Don't touch that!
That was practically instantaneous kinesis the way you flew over just now, Gregsy.
Please, your ladyship. I didn't mean to startle you, but I can't let you touch anything up here.
So sorry. You can have some of my latest special blend to make up for it. It contains cocaine.
Wonderful. This stuff really is wonderful. It's just like old times, this is. We're representing Professor Clement in court tomorrow, Inspector. So we should be allowed to examine the scene. Listen, Sunshine, even I'm not allowed to touch anything up here. Is that blasted special dispensation for scientific equipment act to blame? It's driving me potty. Oh yes, that special dispensation. The professor mentioned that too. More red tape's all we need. I don't know what the government thinks it's playing at sometimes.
But we're allowed to just look, can't we? Surely that's alright, isn't it, Gregsy?
Of course, your ladyship. Anything you say, your ladyship. But please don't get your dainty hands dirty, will you?
Don't worry. We wouldn't dream of touching anything, would we, Bruno?
We can investigate with our eyes. She really knows how to get what she wants. She's like 10, isn't she? Yep. Considering how badly damaged everything is, Professor Clement was lucky to escape unscathed, I say. We should have a good look around the machine while we can, I think. Touch anything and I'll make sure I kill you before I get strung up myself, you hear? I won't touch a thing, I promise. So please, spare a thought for your digestion. Anyway, do you really think this machine could actually disassemble people like the professor claims? He asks, looking totally incredulous. Give it a rest, Sunshine. If we were allowed to examine all this beaten scrap metal, maybe we could answer the question. But we can we? Can't.
Because of the annoying rules, you mean?
Exactly! The annoying obstructive flaming rules! Oh, look at the base of the machine there.
Oh yes, there's a tool of some kind poking through the wire mesh.
It's a screwdriver, I think.
Isn't it a lovely one? The handle is in the shape of a capital letter A.
It is? Oh, yes, you're right. Don't touch anything, I said! Touch anything and I'll make sure I kill you before I get strung up myself, I said. Yes, I understand. Sorry, I only touched it a teeny weeny bit.
But Craigsy, I'm very curious about the screwdriver. Really very, very curious.
Of course, your ladyship. You're so clever, your ladyship. Fancy spotting something like this. I'm afraid I can't let you have it.
But Bruno found it first.
I assure you, I'll investigate it thoroughly. He's gone off with it.
That was very mean, I'm afraid. Inspector Gregson is going to make a very clumsy and embarrassing mistake in next month's installment now.
Poor Gregsy. There are all sorts of strange buildings here in the Great Exhibition Grounds, aren't there? I seem to remember something similar being exhibited in Japan one time.
In your country, Runo, I do wish I could go and see it. I'd present a particularly steely samurai with his present of one of Hurley's stories I'd written especially. And see if I couldn't get Hurley into a jam against some Batitsu Master Ninjas.
You might not find as many of those sorts of people around as you think.
Oh, well, that's dull.
Oh, but I do know a prosecutor with a chonmage top knot I could introduce you to.
A chonmage? Really? Do you think I could have my picture taken with him? Do you?
Assuming he's recovered from the trim Kazuma gave him a year ago. Yes. About that. Not quite. I mean, he grew like a little dollop of cream on his head, but he cut that off himself. What is that gigantic thing over there? It looks like an enormous water wheel.
Oh, that's a Ferris wheel. There'll be people riding inside those little cabins you can see.
Why?
Well, they rotate nice and slowly, so it's a wonderful way to see the surrounding scenery.
Wait, it's turning, but it looks completely still.
Yes, that's because it's turning so slowly. One complete revolution takes about half an hour.
If you were mad enough to go in one, it would be more fun to whiz around fast, don't you think?
I feel as though you might have just invented a new sort of ride there, Bruno.
I was about to say, just like, and... So he invented... Like, what the fuck are they called? Oh, we can look up! That amazing horn-shaped device is pointing towards the crystal tower. I suppose once people are disassembled by the machine, they're shot out of that thing to wherever they're going.
I don't think it was supposed to shoot anything, Runo. It was set up to beam people to the crystal tower where they'd be reconstructed in their original form.
Well, I don't like the look of it. If it was as amazing as it looks, the accident wouldn't have happened in the first place, of course.
Suppose that's true, yes.
But nothing ever goes according to plan, does it? So those are people carrying balloons dangling silently in the skies over London. I always thought the day would come when humans would discover how to fly. I never imagined it would involve them being suspended from colorful, floating tamari handballs.
I'm sure it must feel amazing being up there among the clouds. Let's take a ride together, Bruno. Please.
I'm being perfectly honest, I would like to try it. Without a cast iron guarantee that the thing won't plummet to the ground, I'm too scared.
Oh well, in that case, I should tell you what Hurley said. It's physically impossible for a flying balloon to plummet to the ground, as long as it doesn't explode.
Yes, call me crazy, but I think that exploding part might play on my mind a little. And those are just the same. Making sure that I haven't really missed anything. I should be fine. Oh, you're still here. I thought you left. Using high voltage electricity to somehow disassemble a man's body, and then beam him across the crystal tower. It's an extraordinary thing to attempt, especially in public. True, it was by far the most unusual of the experiments planned for the exhibition, mind. To be honest, I'm a bit surprised it was allowed. Carrying out something so dangerous with so many spectators present, I mean. The government's doing everything it can to promote new science and technology at the moment. They're more worried about being ahead of the game than the odd spot of public safety infringements. If they can be the first to develop some new technology, it makes Britain more powerful in the future, you see. Yes, I suppose that's true, in a way. But the powers that be are placing a heavy emphasis on scientists' rights at the moment.
What sort of rights?
They're making it so that any theories the brains have remain their legal property, as it were. Right through developing it into the practical idea and even going into production. Which is the infuriating reason us coppers aren't allowed to touch his crime scene. Because the new highfalutin Special Dispensation for Scientific Equipment Act forbids it. I see now. The only people with permission to investigate here are from some brand new department at the yard. The Forensic Investigation Team is called. We've been relegated to keeping guard. The Forensic Investigation Team. Any old fool can see that this heap of scrap metal was a sham to begin with. But just because it says scientific equipment on the paperwork, we can't do a flaming thing with it.
Poor Grexy. He's very het up, isn't he?
Remind me again, what's this new legal act that means we're not allowed to touch the scene here? Are you having at me, sunshine? It's the Special Dispensation for Scientific Equipment Act. Is it supposed to be a funny acronym because I can't see it?
Yes, I think Hurley mentioned that recently, with a real twinkle in his eye as I remember.
Sure he did, your ladyship, I'm sure he did. Asked especially for this great exhibition it was. All scientists have to do is present their ideas or inventions to some suits in the civil service. And if it gets rubber stamped, that's a guarantee of rights to maintain the invention's confidentiality. What does that really mean? Think about it. Think of all the world-changing new inventions on display every day at this exhibition. Although a good half of them are a load of cobblers, if you ask me, put forwards by shammers like yourself. Thanks for that.
Oh, I love how absurd some of these inventions here are. It's all so fun.
Might be fun to you, but a member of the force has to be present at every single demonstration. Can you imagine, eh? Hang science, that's what I say.
Oh, I don't think so. That sounds like my dream job.
I'd soon think otherwise after spending the day guarding all these shammers' bogus contraptions. But if they're all bogus, how can anyone hope to demonstrate them? There'd be no point. Yeah, well, there is a point, sadly. Sorry? Thanks to another of our government's bright ideas, if any theory or invention is deemed to show potential, the government hands out a research grant.
the scientists get funding. Exactly, and that's what they're all after. All these shammers coming from far and wide to clog up Hyde Park. And who has to keep them all safe, eh? Who has to smile politely and welcome them? Welcome them. Us coppers, that's who. So you can see why I say it now, can't you? Hang science! Hang it!
Oh, maybe I can see your point.
Apparently Professor Clement lives and works in France now, conducting his research. That's right, he came back to Britain especially for the Great Exhibition, as I understand it. Probably after one of the government's research grants. Actually, we learned something else about the professor earlier today. About his time in further education. It turns out he was at a university with someone we both know, Lord Van Zieks. What's that? That's news to me. But if Van Zieks mans the prosecution, then as the accused, the professor's fate is sealed? Because the Reaper will get him one way or another. Blimey, that man's beyond me. I don't know what goes on in that head of his. Talking of Van Zieks, this morning's paper ran the story of him being attacked. Read that?
Oh yes, but Mr. Reaper is completely fine. Nothing to worry about.
Yeah, right. Glad to hear it. Still, the Reaper, huh? How long is that business gonna keep up, I wonder? The victim of this case, the investor, Mr. Assman. God, I am a child! I am a fucking child! Oh my god, that reminds me, we played some Jackbox yesterday. It's England though, so you have to say arse, man. You're not wrong. Anyways, we were playing Jackbox last night, and source me, I'm British. Yeah. How awful are my voices, or like my accents, I guess. Solid 6 out of 10. Oh, well, you know, that's above average. I'll take that. I'll take that. The victim of this case, the investor, Mr. Assman. He's still gonna. he's still gonna say Mr. Assman. The other ones are gonna say arse. Okay. It was another of the Reaper's victims, or so I heard. Lord Baruch Van Zieks is a top-class prosecutor. But even he can't always push the right verdict through. Sometimes justice can't win. Yes, I've heard that about jurors being bribed and evidence being falsified. And that's how the notion of the Reaper of the Bailey came about, isn't it? Obviously, Scotland Yard suspected Van Zieks initially. We all assumed he was taking matters into his own hands if we failed to seal the deal in court. Although the man himself denies that charge. Well, we've done a very thorough investigation, and the conclusion we've reached is that Lord Van Zieks is in no way related to the deaths of those people outside the courtroom. There's no question in my mind. I'd stake my reputation on it, I would. But if that's true, then how do you explain it? All those defendants couldn't just have coincidentally died if nobody killed them. I know that. But I can't explain it. It's a mystery after all, isn't it? That's the whole point of the Reaper. Professor Clement mentioned something else. He said that at university, Lord Van Zieks was a totally different person. Easygoing and kind. You what? He said that it was after they both graduated that something happened to change the man. Do you have any idea what it was? No clue. Really? Look,
I've got my hands full watching over this frustrating crime scene. Why don't you go and make a nuisance of yourselves elsewhere, eh? Okay, cool. I'll leave. How do I go back down to... How do I go... I want to talk to Gina again. Sorry, I'm just here to just... There we go. I don't know how to go back downstairs again. The Crystal Tower. It's certainly an apt name. It was built to be the focal point of the exhibition, and it definitely is, being so tall and with all that glass. I can't imagine a building like this ever being erected in Japan.
There are lots of exhibits inside the tower as well, apparently. Of course, there's an observation deck, but there's also an art gallery, a zoo, and a museum. But I heard you have to queue for 3 hours just to get through the doors.
Well, at the moment, the shattered glass from the failed experiment may well be the biggest draw.
And thanks to that accident, the whole tower is shut.
Suddenly, it's not the Crystal Tower anymore, but the Crystal Glass Shower.
Apparently, everyone's taking to the skies now to look down on the disaster area from above instead. But there's a 3-hour queue to go up in a balloon now.
Londoners must be very patient people. I mean, they're very good at queuing, I'll give them that. I've been meaning to ask you for a while now, but what are those funny round blobs floating in the sky? I know you told me when we were on top of the platform or whatever, but can you just tell me again?
They're the flying balloons I've been talking about. I want to go up in one so much.
I've read about situations like this in a magazine about strange phenomena. Creatures from outer space coming in round flying objects to attack Earth. What? I suppose inhabitants of other planets are bound to be interested in the great exhibition. This is it, Iris. It's happening.
It's not. Don't worry. I'll explain it all to you later over a nice cup of tea, Bruno.
That seems to be everything here. That just takes me upstairs again. Patient, but honestly, this is back when people would set out time to wave goodbye to random ships, so maybe they just had nothing better to do. Maybe.
Cool, it was out of this world, it was. The brainy bloke pulled a bunch of levers on his machine, and suddenly it started billowing smoke. Then it just went pop. I ain't seen a better experiment here yet.
Sorry?
You mean you saw it, Jenny? With your own eyes? Yeah, of course. The boss is in charge here, ain't he? Of keeping everything running smooth, I mean.
The boss being Inspector Gregson, I suppose. It's going to take some getting used to.
So all I have to say is that I'm on duty and I can do whatever I want to.
7.5 for Gina, thank you.
Get this! I was up in one of them flying balloons when it happened, watching it from above. No, you're so lucky, Ginny. Maybe I should join Scotland Yard too. Do it! You know how to put the boss in his place already, right, Iris? You'd have no trouble at all. Then it's settled. When do I start?
No, you can't join Scotland Yard, Iris.
We'll see. Anyway, what I don't understand is this. If the machine exploded so spectacularly, how can Professor Lemon still be claiming that his experiment was a success?
Oh, right.
Well, it was a success in a way.
It was? How can it have been? Surely after the whole machine blew up, no one could call the experiment a success.
It's like I said, it did sort of work. I mean, yeah, there was a lot of smoke in that whopping great bang. But where do you think they found the victim's body, eh? In the crystal tower over there.
What? In the tower?
You can see for yourself, can't you? Up there above the scaffold. Oh, where all the glass is broken, you mean? Yeah, the cage what the victim got in to start with. Where they did get beamed through the air and whatever and landed all the way over there. So you see, it did kind of work, didn't it?
What? I don't believe it.
I mean, I don't get the ins and outs of it, but anything's possible, right? With science. Oh, I tell you what, you can have this. It's a plan of the experiment they drew up at the yard.
He was yeeted. Yeah, for real. Are you sure?
Yeah, go on. I had 3 bob with you before, so fair's fair.
Yes, I didn't actually give that to you, did I? No, you bought it back. I saw you did it. Okay. Let's look at this. Interesting. Am I the only one that feels that magnifying glass is kind of useless? Something Inspector Gregson said before seemed a little strange. What it's worth anyway. Investigating's off the cards for all of us. Okay.
Yes. Naughty old Grexy ran off after that without explaining himself.
I don't think it has done anything useful ever, right? Like, you would think that with it, you could, like, look at things closer and, like, you know, things would just, like, be a little bit clearer. If not everywhere, but just, like, certain places. But no. I mean, you get closer, sure, but, like, you can't see any, like, finer details. It's the lightning bolt symbol. It is him. It really is him. Oh my god. This is the most useful I've ever used the fucking magnifying glass for. This.
Alright, that. The boss said no one's allowed to investigate that weird machine what blew up yesterday.
It looks good over the eye socket, though. I mean, sure, but...
Oh, that's not fair. We're representing the defendant.
In that case, could you at least tell us what you've learned from your investigations?
Nah, you're not getting it. We ain't allowed to investigate neither.
Why?
What did the boss call them again? The forensic investigation team, I think. Anyway, apart from them lot, no one's allowed to lay a finger on the scene. Bit funny, innit?
So even Scotland Yard's own detectives can't investigate. Yes, I've never heard something like that before. The fit!
I thought I could have a gander on the quiet though, but the boss caught me at it. You probably heard him giving me an earful about it before. From down here, didn't you? It's not bleeding fair.
I think you were giving him as much of an earful back as I remember it.
Yeah, well, sometimes I think it's all them chips what make him so stubborn. You say something to him, Otto. Go on, see if you can get through to him.
He's up on the platform above us, is he? Where the machine that exploded is.
He can try, can't we, Bruno? Grexy will listen to us.
He will listen to you. Okay, let me just show you all the stuff I have. That's not where I go to present. I'm done. There we go. Well, that didn't work.
Okay, this is just the same. Just want to make sure. I mean, we took this one in secret, but still. Sketch? No. Okay, nothing. Good to know. Is there any way to, like, get back downstairs? I can't. No, I don't think there is. I haven't showed you anything. Inspector, have you read this paper? Welcome blasts back to back. This one's at the exhibition. And the Reaper getting attacked. I know, terrible news to wake up to, wasn't it? I tried to pretend I hadn't read it and turned over for another 40 winks. Thanks to that, I was laid up and got a roasting from the super. Some mornings are like that, aren't they? Nope. Totally irrelevant? I don't think so because I picked it up. Okay. And then the sketch. Nope. Nothing. Good to know. Just want to know. Okay, where are we going now? I kind of forget. I haven't been here yet. Didn't he say that there was something on the backside of his Daruma doll? Ah yes, the Daruma doll I brought with me from Japan. I always intended to color in the other eye once I'd become a fully fledged lawyer. It is still winking at me, like it's trying to say, I can wait, take as long as you need. Or maybe not. I'll just have to keep on doing the best I can, I suppose.
I could color it in for you, Bruno. Just that one eye, is it?
No, it needs to be done with a bit of ceremony, Iris. It's not just a toy for coloring in, you know. I understand why you haven't been able to see your desk, as cluttered as it is. I can relate. God, such a mess. Okay, nothing here. We haven't seen Sholmes in a while. Nothing here. I think. Nothing new anyway. Don't think there's anything here. Nope. Prison. Nope. Prosecutor's office. I guess not. You see, still... He's gone. Interesting. Lord Van Zieks?
I think it's ignoring you, Bruno.
Prosecution and defense should avoid speaking outside of the courtroom as a rule. So if anyone is being rude here, it's most certainly the man in black there standing before us.
Oh, I see. Well, thank you for setting the record straight.
Joke's on you, I'm pretty sure I'm wearing blue right now.
Did you see that? He spoke to me, Bruno.
So, Lord Van Zieks, have you managed to visit the Great Exhibition yet?
It's definitely ignoring you.
Right, no niceties either then. Okay, I guess nothing to do here. What am I missing? I'm clearly missing something or other.
That's where the cove ended up after his instant kinesis or whatever they call it. Dead, of course.
And yet they're calling the experiment a success.
What's the wooden scaffold there for?
The coppers, our lads, set that up after the incident happened. To get the body down, I think. Dunno, really. Didn't you help to erect the scaffold then? Nah, lookout duty's more my thing. Wandering around the exhibition and keeping a lookout for the fun stuff. When Gregson doesn't hear you saying that, or he'll give you the boot. Through the clock, at what angle was he yeeted? Good question. It's incredible though, isn't it? I mean, could the victim really have bridged that gap by some sort of invisible kinesis? Okay, that's it.
Bruno, listen!
What? What is it?
I've been thinking. Hurley might know something, mightn't he?
About what?
About Mr. Reaper.
About what happened to Lord Von Zieks, you mean? Because it sounds like something very significant occurred after he graduated from university. Something that completely changed his life. Maybe, but I have no idea where to find Mr. Sholmes at the moment. He's in the middle of some big case, isn't he?
Here, this is what you need.
What's this? Some kind of entrance ticket? Madame Tespels. Is this supposed to mean something to me?
You don't know it. It's the most popular attraction in London at the moment. It's very close to Baker Street, actually. We could go now if you like.
No, we don't have time for visiting attractions today. Iris, we have a big trial tomorrow.
But that's where Hurley is.
What? At this popular London attraction?
Yes.
How is it that you know where he is?
Hurley told me, but he told me to keep it a secret from you, Bruno.
Madame Tespels. Or Tuspels? I don't know. I don't see how it could be related to the case we're investigating here, but then... stranger things have happened, and when they happen, Mr. Sholmes is usually at the heart of them. Okay. Bye. I knew it was fucking Tissal. I've been there, actually. Back in 2010. What is this place? Look at all these terrifying scenes, but why are the people so still? Guillotines, ruthless murderers. You know what I'll be dreaming about tonight?
They're all wax models. They're all amazingly realistic, aren't they? What do you think, Bruno? Shocked?
Wax models? I read about dead bodies in wax once in a magazine about strange phenomena. Depending on how corpses are kept after death, parts of them can turn to wax, apparently. It's called, adipocare, words.
Stop talking about creepy things like that, Bruno. You're scaring me. Anyway, adipocere.
Doesn't fall. Okay, I have to Google it now. You can't... It is. What kind of magazines and stuff does he read? I don't fucking know.
What now?
I've just remembered something else I read. In another magazine about strange phenomena. There was an old lady, maybe a witch, who used to pour molten wax over corpses and put them on display.
None of the exhibits in here are real. They're all entirely man-made replicas.
And they can't be. Do you really expect me to believe that? Just look at them.
Oh,
There's no way anybody can make models of people that are this realistic. And they're all such gruesome scenes. Wait,
what is it?
oh. No, I must be seeing things. I'm sorry, I'm gonna leave you for last. Is this some infamous murderer?
Yes, called Jane the Ripper. All her victims were young women.
I knew it. You can tell by the way she's holding that knife. Sure sign of a murderer.
Well, yes. What's the matter, Bruno?
I worked it out. I know what she's doing. She's trying to fill the bathtub with blood so she can have a soak in her victim's gore.
Not according to the information about the exhibit on the little board here. It doesn't mention anything about the bathtub.
Really?
Sorry, I don't think it's significant.
I still think it has to be there for a reason. Please do not touch the statues. These models are so well made. I can't tell what's a waxwork and what's a real human.
Maybe. All the exhibits are real people. And when it's closing time and all the visitors have gone home, they suddenly start moving about.
Just thinking about it makes me wish it was closing time already and I was on my way home. Five Nights at Freddy's much. I mean, without the animatronics, but whatever. I mean... Wait, the scarf, isn't that the same one that was in, like, the first game? I'm pretty sure he is real, by the way.
Oh, that's a funny place for a little ladder. What is it? Is something wrong?
No, it's just that in Japanese, we have a totally different word for a ladder that folds in half like that.
We do in English too, you know. It's a step ladder, or just steps. So be careful of making assumptions about other cultures, Bruno. That's how wars are started.
The lover's word, right? When testifying against Soseki. Yes. But this is an older man. I didn't realize stepladders were an international point of contention, but the writer makes an astute point. Is this an example of Western Tsuchigiri?
I don't know what that is.
You know, when an unscrupulous samurai randomly attacks a passerby to test his sword.
I still don't know, no. But actually, a waxwork samurai would probably be hugely popular. Could you model it, do you think, Bruno? Doing that Tsuchigiri thing you just mentioned.
Well, I do have a sword, but I have no intention of testing how sharp it is on a human subject. For now, at least. I wonder why he's here. Strange. It's... the great detective, Mr. Herlock Sholmes! Mr. Sholmes has his own wax statue in here. Really?
Well, he is world famous after all.
It's an uncanny resemblance, isn't it? It makes my skin crawl to look at it.
I know. But look, Bruno, you can kick this Hurley and he doesn't move a muscle.
You can't go around kicking the exhibits, Iris. Wait. It just moved, I'm sure. And not just a little bit either.
Really? Did it?
And look closely. There are beads of sweat on the face of this waxwork model. Shall we move on, Iris? Over there, look! There's a great murder scene to enjoy, much more appealing. My dear fellow, I take exception to your recoiling in such a manner, as if you've seen something truly abhorrent. Mr. Sholmes! I knew it. Iris, what possessed you? I strictly forbade you from divulging my temporary waxwork secret to Mr. Naruhodo. Temporary waxwork? What do you mean? And that kick! Could you not have exercised a little more restraint? You winded me.
Bruno has something he needs to ask you.
Ah, a question.
And I thought you'd probably be getting bored too. So here we are.
She kicked his leg and winded him. Yeah, you know when something hurts so much, you just get all winded. I had that the other day with cramps. That was a lot of fun. Well, I can't deny that your timing was impeccable. A mere 2 minutes more stationary like that, and my great brain, upon which all my success has been built, would have turned to wax. Thank goodness we arrived in time. Indeed, in many ways, the pair of you just saved the world from an unimaginable loss.
Oh, Hurley, you do like to talk nonsense, don't you?
Could know something, it's true. About Lord Van Zieks, about what happened in the past to change him. Now that you're here, let's take our time. How can I be of assistance? With that winded, I thought to have your breath knocked out of you, like when you fall on your back. I mean, yeah? I don't know. Wounded? No, it said winded. Well, you're in luck. I'm suddenly quite taken with the idea of conversing. Oh, well, actually, I'm in quite a hurry. And if my eyes don't deceive me, I believe something is afoot within the walls of this very museum. A most fascinating case, if I'm not mistaken. Really? Moreover, I have a strong suspicion that it is related to the matter about which you've come to me now. But how could it be? We shall speak again presently, my dear fellow, but for now, I must return to my work. What, back to being a temporary waxwork exhibit? Okay, sure. Is this an arm?
It looks like an arm, doesn't it? Maybe one of the waxwork models has fallen over.
You don't think it could be the work of one of the mass murderers in here, do you?
Bruno, stop scaring me!
Is it a wax arm or a real one?
Come on, you're always pointing that finger of yours in court. Poke that arm now and see how it feels.
Objection! The big heavy curtain is in a very prominent position, isn't it? I have a nasty feeling there's going to be something truly terrifying behind it.
Oh yes! That's the famous Tuspell's special exhibit. It depicts one of England's most notorious killers. Do you want to pay the extra fee and have a look?
Pay more money? To be even more terrified? Oh, let me think about that for half a moment.
It was only a suggestion.
I can't check it out, really? Interesting. Oh well. Let's talk to you, I guess. What is this place?
Madame Taspels came to London from France 3 years ago, I understand. Since she opened this little waxwork museum last year, it's enjoyed great popularity in London.
There are museums like this in Japan too, but these displays are something else. I mean, they aren't made from actual real people, are they?
The extreme realism of these waxworks models is a particular secret of the Taspels family, they say. They earned renown during the French Revolution for waxworks of victims of the guillotine.
Ugh, that sounds grim.
The gruesome scenes were portrayed with such realism in the expressions of the faces of the condemned. Apparently, the sculptors would make the models directly from the corpses, right there at the site of the executions.
That really turns my stomach.
That's just one of the several legends about the Taspels family. Whether there's any truth in it, I couldn't say. But anyway, this museum houses models of famous people from all over the globe. Nevertheless, the most popular area of the museum by quite some margin is this House of Horrors.
House of Horrors?
Of course, visitor numbers are dwindling now as a result of the Great Exhibition. But people usually flock here to see the exhibits of some of London's most vile criminals at the gruesome work.
I remember there was like one of the exhibitions at Madame Tussauds when I went there that was like that. I remember I skipped one of them because I was too much of a baby. But to be fair, it wasn't like 2010. How old was I then? 13? Meh. I was a baby.
Naturally, most of the miscreants portrayed here was sent to the gallows. So they're even stiffer now than the models of them.
Have you heard of poor taste?
My dear fellow, the public live for poor taste. They yearn to be shocked.
So the hideous exhibits in here are...
They're all portrayals of real events that actually took place.
Is it just me, or did the temperature in here just seem to drop?
Anyway, I advise you not to think too deeply about what you see here.
Oh, he's back to being a waxwork, is he? Tickle him. What do you mean by a temporary waxwork, Mr. Sholmes?
Exactly what you see. I'm part of the exhibits here, catching these criminals in the act.
Catching them?
Every half an hour, I home in on a different killer in one of the displays and adopt a new pose to ensnare him. When members of the public come in for a closer look, I offer them my hand to shake. For a shilling, I'll happily allow them to take a photograph with us.
Us? Does he mean him and the waxwork murderers in here? But why, Mr. Sholmes?
My dear fellow, isn't it obvious? For the money!
Oh no. Sherlock Sholmes is selling himself. You really roared at me there. Very fitting for the House of Horrors.
As it stands, I may struggle to pay this month's rent, and I have to have the ravenous Iris to consider. Oh, Hurley! I'm so hungry! If push comes to shove, I shall have to ask you to do your bit, Mr. Naruhodo.
What's he threatening to rob me into now?
So, with that in mind, how about a photograph? As a special treat, you may have your pick of the murderers and scoundrels in here. The choice is yours.
So he's broke? I guess so. Maybe some other time.
Remember, Mr. Naruhodo, ignore me at your peril.
Back to being a waxwork again. Is it just me, or did his final remark there sound a lot like a curse? I hope there's gonna be a Sholmes jump scare in this game. Just like randomly a fucking jump scare. Well, what is it you'd like to ask me then? Actually, it's about Lord Von Zieks. Ah, our friend Mr. Reaper. How did you find him? Well, I trust. And so I filled Mr. Sholmes in about everything I'd learned. About Lord Von Zieks, about Professor Clement, and about the strange coincidence that they had been at the university together. So I'm wondering what it was that happened to make Lord Von Zieks such a different person.
I was sure that you'd know, Hurley.
You said there was something going on here in this exhibit hall before, that something was afoot, and that you believed it was related to what I wanted to ask you about. Mr. Sholmes? He suddenly clammed up. Well, it seems we've reached the... Greetings. Who? Oh, hello! Where did she appear from? What's she wearing? Could she look any more mysterious?
I hope you are appreciating my museum.
Sorry, have we... Oh, to spells. Mr. Sholmes, do you know this? Not again.
My apologies. I am Esmeralda Tuspels, and this is my museum of waxwork.
What? You're the Madame Tuspels?
Bien sûr.
I think.
Though it's only 26 years young, I might add.
Is that significant somehow?
I'm a madame, in name only. It adds a certain je ne sais quoi.
Right.
Firstly, I must apologize for my waxworks. Or rather, one waxwork in particular.
That'll be Mr. Sholmes then.
I was led to believe he was a great detective, but he seems unable to settle. Next time you move from your designated exhibit, there will be toil and trouble. She sounds deadly serious.
That's a problem. How am I supposed to ask Mr. Sholmes about Lord Von Zieks now?
Let's not forget what Hurley said before, about something being afoot, right here in the museum, I mean.
Yes, I know, but...
I'm so curious. I want to know what's happening here.
Haven't we got enough on our plate already? Did you make all these waxworks, Madame Tuspels?
I did. I am the third generation of waxwork artisans, you know. Gosh! It was my grandmother who began the tradition in my family. Her fortunes were checkered, living through the turbulent times of the French Revolution as she did. Though, that is, when she acquired this savoir-faire that leads to the astonishing lifelikeness. All these waxworks really do look as though they're alive. In fact, they look more alive than Hurley. What you see exhibited here represents the most atrocious of London's criminal past. All the waxworks here created in the presence of the real people on which they are modelled. In the hours immediately following their executions. That is the secret to the extraordinary lifelikeness.
That sounds terrifying.
All walks of life have similar challenges, I'm sure. To carry out one's trade par excellence, one must go to extraordinary lengths. My exhibits are a reflection of society. I create only that which the public wishes to see.
Why couldn't the public have wished for something less horrifying?
Do not fear.
Sorry?
This room is the only one in the museum with such a macabre theme. I do hope you'll explore. There are more models of famous singers, actors, politicians, Something for every taste, I hope.
It was Iris who dragged me straight in here, come to think of it.
Sorry, perhaps I should have eased you into things.
What's the situation with that?
Ah, my temporary waxwork model. He approached me some days ago, you see, with a business proposal.
Oh, what sort of proposal?
My dear Madame, what these sparse exhibits need is the addition of a world-famous great detective. Words to that effect.
Ah,
Naturally. I'm well aware that Mrs. Sholmes is widely known in London as a talented detective.
it's great detective, actually. He's very specific about it.
Yes, the creme de la creme. So I was keen to come to some arrangement with him, of course. But sadly, we were unable to agree terms.
Let me guess, someone wanted to charge an exorbitant price for his services.
For a mere £500, I will dive into your cauldron of wax this very moment. Or words to that effect.
Mr. Sholmes might have overdone it slightly with the sales pitch.
Regrettably, the museum has a shortage of funds at the moment due to unforeseen circumstances. So we came to the current arrangement instead.
Surely he doesn't really need to do what he's doing, though, does he?
I would think not, but he was very insistent. I have a 50-shilling problem that must be resolved by the morning. Words to that effect. The pawnbroker, that's what it is. He must have something to redeem.
Is the consulting detective work not going so well? I wonder, could I ask you something?
Bien sûr.
I'm just curious, is anything going on in the museum at the moment? Some kind of incident, perhaps?
Whoever suggested such a thing to you?
Well, it was your temporary waxwork over there who mentioned it to me a little... Oh, he disappeared. Is this Sholmes? A wax model is a work of art, not some tawdry object for trade. Ah! Yeah, okay. There you are!
Leaving the exhibit again when you should be working.
Do you wish to be melted down? My dear Madame Tuspels, save your reprimands. There are more pressing concerns. The wax can wait. It's our ideas about your current problem we must throw into the melting pot instead. Personally, I would advise you not to involve the police.
Why ever not?
She's turned as white as a sheet.
Because you have at your disposal a great detective, whose services you may employ for a mere 50 shillings. Though please be aware that I prefer, no, I insist upon payment in advance.
Very well.
Let us see if the great detective is able to live up to his name, shall we?
Before I engage my analytical processes, I must ask you to clarify something. What, pray, is behind the curtain?
That is the Tuspel special exhibit. There is an extra charge to see it.
Ah, the special exhibit in the House of Horrors. It must depict a special killer then, I presume. Would you be so kind as to draw back the curtain, I wonder?
Absolutely no. There is nothing amiss behind there.
Nothing amiss, madame. What about the arm protruding ominously from under the curtain? I strongly encourage you to allow me to see what lies beyond, before the situation worsens.
Yes, very well. I will draw back the curtains, but only as French. Yes, I peeked behind the curtain earlier. Tuspel's special exhibit is a very bleak graveyard scene indeed. And yet, somewhat surprisingly, the waxwork killer one would expect is nowhere to be seen. What does strike one, however, is the portly gentleman lying peacefully on his back on the floor. Well then perhaps, Monsieur Sholmes, that man on the floor is the ruthless killer himself. I'm afraid not, my dear fellow. He's a perfectly ordinary London gentleman. Not even a waxwork, in fact. What? As skillfully made as these waxworks are, they are always distinguishable from real humans. So, allow me to present my two conclusions. The first is that a sizable business transaction has been taken place in this special exhibit. Why would you say that? And the second is that the aforementioned transaction is linked to a serious crime. She looks as pale as candle wax. I don't understand. So, Madame Tuspels, as you've agreed to my fee, you shall now have the pleasure of seeing the famously great detective and temporary exhibit at work.
Yes, let's go.
To begin with, we must ask ourselves what exactly is afoot here in this museum. The answer is revealed by the bundle of banknotes protruding so helpfully from your bag. Oh, I didn't even notice those. In my estimation, some £200. That is all my own money. So, what does this large sum of money reveal? Not as much as the involuntary glance you cast, it would seem, Madame Tuspels. Yes, the answer lies where your eyes now fall. The significance of the £200 is revealed by that public notice. Waxwork for sale. Your business has hit hard times, it would seem. In short, you sold the infamous killer, the centerpiece of your special exhibit, for the sum of £200. No! Now, let us explore the next curiosity with which we are presented. Who is the portly gentleman stretched out so peacefully on the floor? It would appear the man has suffered a severe shock, the cause of which is clearly known to you. Unfortunately, madame, keeping secrets does not appear to be your forte. What dealt the man such a shocking blow was, of course, the £200. Yes, paper. It would appear that you twisted this gentleman around your little finger most effectively. What are you suggesting? He rashly agreed to purchase the waxwork for the sum of £200. Only when he came to hand the money over did it occur to him what an extortionate amount he was paying. But the money was no longer in his hands. And the result? The scene we see before us. He collapsed in shock. Yes, the killer in this special exhibit fetched a killer prize. We can only pray that the gentleman's dreams are not plagued with regret.
That was jarring. That was so jarring. The way he just suddenly changed clothes like that.
The question that arises then is what has become of the waxwork that changed hands? Let us consider that problem for a moment.
You cannot possibly...
What immediately strikes me about this conundrum is the young man standing over there. Who is this fellow? To find the answer, we need only observe his handkerchief, such as is worn by policemen of a as a secret sign to fellow members of the force that a crime is being perpetrated. Yes, this young man is an undercover policeman, currently investigating this museum.
£200 in ish that time is approximately 150,000 Swedish krona.
I know him well, in fact. It's Sergeant John Clay.
What are you talking about?
The man's quite a celebrity. He received triple accolades at last year's policing awards.
Or 15,000 USD, damn.
But next, we turn our attention to the old man sat before him with the particularly unsightly visage. I've been watching closely, and he hasn't moved a muscle, almost in fact as if he were a waxwork. But your reaction only confirms my suspicions, madame. I noticed it at once, of course. Observe. The telltale sign that instantly proves whether or not this old man is a waxwork is the obvious price tag.
Really?
There are pens. A tragically low price, you might say.
So Sholmes asked for enough money to buy 33 horses, so roughly the same amount. 2,500 days of wages for a skilled tradesman. Why horses?
Though, perhaps, the going rate for aging waxworks riddled with cracks. And yet you sold it to the portly gentleman for an exorbitant £200. The sort of plucky behaviour that's sure to attract the attention of Scotland Yard. Isn't that so, madame?
The converter showed it in horses as well, which I thought was funny. The horses!
I do not.
Or 93 cows. Interesting.
Yes, the waxwork you sold has already been seized by the police and remains in their custody as we speak. The old man must be reunited with his grave in the special exhibit, and not a moment too soon. Thus concludes Herlock Sholmes' great deduction of this horrifying puzzle.
I'm sure it does. I'm sure it does. Yes, please. Do throw it on him.
I see I've stunned you all into silence.
You have, Hurley, you have. You've obviously upset this young lady in the process. Her cauldron looks awfully hot.
If I could just bring up one point, Mr. Sholmes.
Ah, the notorious Naruhodo 1 point. I'm all ears, my dear fellow.
According to your deduction, then, the special exhibit featured this old policeman. So, well, that would mean that he is the particularly ruthless murderer, wouldn't it? The killer policeman, Ottomole.
Sorry? It was a mysterious series of murders that rattled the capital only last year. The police rushed to the scene every time only to find the culprit had disappeared into the ether.
And it turned out the culprit was a policeman himself, a senior officer by the name of Ottomole.
So you mean that's who the sinister-looking old man there is supposed to be?
Indeed, it is a particularly grim face, is it not? Unforgettable, in fact, yes. I remember that odious countenance only too well.
But is £200 a lot of money for a wax model?
It would be enough to afford one of the latest steam carriages, if that puts things in perspective.
So, it is quite a lot then.
there anything else you wish to add before I melt you down?
That bubbling wax is looking more and more ominous.
Oh, the smell of all that molten wax is starting to worry me.
Mr. Sholmes did more or less just accuse her to her face, so... I think I might have to call on your assistance here, Iris. That's alright. To make some minor corrections to the great detective's great deductions.
Of course it's alright. We'll soon set things straight.
Well, let's get started then, shall we? Before Madame Tispels vents her anger.
Just what I was waiting to hear, my dear fellow.
So,
Madame Tispels, in accordance with our agreement, you shall now have the pleasure of seeing this famously great detective and temporary exhibit at work.
let's go. Okay. This is just the same. Answer lies where your eyes now fall. The significance of 200 pounds is revealed by the public notice. There we go. She definitely looked in this direction, it's true.
But I'm not sure she'd sell any of her waxworks, even for 200 pounds.
Oh?
She must pour her heart and soul into making them, don't you think? Over and above the wax. If it were me, I wouldn't sell them for anything.
For that much money, I would. But it sounds like that makes me a bad person. Well, anyway, I wonder if the 200 pounds could have some other significance.
Let's follow that furtive glance again and see if there's anything else that could explain it.
I mean... the only thing other than this is him. Turn camera. I can! This way. Oh, there we go.
What's that note doing pinned to the wall there?
Oh, yes, let's see. Dear Madame Tispels, we've taken the prisoner from this room. The price for his safe return is 200 pounds. Have the money ready by noon on 23rd of October.
What?
It's just like the sort of thing that's left behind when someone is kidnapped.
Yes, it's a ransom note.
Exactly.
Take that!
The significance of the 200 pounds is revealed by that ransom note.
Quite so, and we must congratulate these criminals on their inventiveness, abducting a waxwork. 200 pounds is no small ransom fee, yet you clearly intend to pay it. The model in question has special importance, so I put together all the money I have. In summary then, the 200 pounds you have in your handbag is ransom money. Now, let us explore the next curiosity with which we are presented.
Would pay the manager. I can't remember if we went through this. I think it is. Question, Madame Secrets? Yeah, no, this one. Did she hit a bitch? So if the waxwork was kidnapped, where does that leave us in terms of who this man is?
Could just ask him when he comes round.
I think the point of this exercise is to understand the beauty of the deduction process, Iris.
Yes, you're right. Paddy is trying so hard, we mustn't let him down.
Well, there's little doubt that he suffered a shock. That much seems clear. But in that case, what's Madame Tispels trying to hide? Let's have a closer look around.
Whoa. The braid, obviously. What is that miscolored hand sticking out back of her cape? I'll look at it. Madame Tespels has very long hair, doesn't she?
Yes, but you couldn't tell looking at her from the front.
You know, it looks rather like a whip, don't you think? The sort of whip that could have floored the gentleman with a single crack.
It seems a little far-fetched, even for you, Runo. This is just Madame Tespel's right hand, isn't it?
As it must be, I can clearly see her left hand after all.
Oh, but wait a minute. This is the left hand as well, look!
Don't say such creepy things, Iris, please!
And it seems very stiff too. In fact, it's really hard.
You mean it's made of wax?
Take that!
I didn't even see that. What dealt the man such a shocking blow was, of course, the waxwork hand. Indeed, with a solid waxwork limb, one could deliver a very substantial blow. How could you? The hand protruding from the bottom of your cape. It ought to be a right hand, but closer inspection reveals that in fact it's a left hand. We're looking at the text and spotted it below it. Nice. And somewhat masculine as well. In other words, it does not belong to you, madame. It is the hand of a waxwork model.
Some of the visitors to my museum can be troublesome. They meddle with the exhibits and cause damage.
So you mean that arm?
Yes, this gentleman saw fit to try to remove it as a souvenir.
No small keepsake. Like taking a whole branch of a cherry tree when you go to view the blossoms.
I'm afraid I had to teach the man a lesson.
You confronted the man and tried to take the arm back. And the result? The same we see before us. He was knocked unconscious. A point we may need to revisit later. Okay. Yes, the killer in this special exhibit has been kidnapped. The question that arises then is what has become of the waxwork that changed hands. Let us consider that problem for a moment. You cannot possibly... Okay, whatever. We already went through this. Oh, you need to go? That's perfectly fine. Thank you so much for being here. Hope you sleep well. Good night. According to Sholmes, the yellow neckerchief is a sign to other policemen that some crime is underway.
A way of communicating with his colleagues without revealing his identity, yes. It's a secret that's closely guarded by Scotland Yard.
But Mr. Sholmes didn't hesitate to give it away.
Well, uncovering secrets isn't any true detective's nature, of course.
Right. Anyway, judging from Madame Tespel's reaction to Mr. Sholmes' deduction, I think perhaps we might not have identified the man quite correctly. What the? The man has a stub sticking out of his shoulder where his arm should be.
Well, that settles that then.
Right, this isn't a real person at all.
His entire arm's been ripped up, from the shoulder down.
His arm's been... Of course, that ties in with what we just found out. It's his arm.
Take that!
Who is this fellow? To find the answer, we need only observe his shoulder stub. No such boneless human walks this earth. Of that I can assure you. In other words, the man standing here, the young Sergeant Young Clay, is in fact, defying all odds, a waxwork model. I seem to remember it was you who concluded he was a real person in the first place, Mr. Sholmes.
He has become quite a celebrity in London, being the winner of no less than 3 policing awards last year. I simply had to make a model of the man.
Naturally. What other explanation could there be? And it was this detective's arm that was pulled off by the man on the floor in the special exhibit, wasn't it? Next, we turn our attention to the old man, okay. Yes, he's a waxwork that's being sold for 3 pence. Sounds about right. Killer policeman called Ottermole, was it? Was he well known?
It was all over the papers last year, but I can't say I know what he looks like. It's a very low price though. 3 pence isn't much money.
Only enough for a few measly hours of gas in Mr. Garrideb's delightful lodgings, in fact. So this is the special killer taken from the special exhibit, is it? The waxwork that somebody stole from the museum and tried to ransom for £200. Is this crusty old killer policeman Ottermole? Really?
Perhaps we should have a good look around again and see if another idea crops up.
Look at this! The old man's tapping his foot like crazy.
He seems to be fast asleep though.
He's not tapping his foot consciously then. So you mean...
It must be a twitch.
Never mind that. The point is, waxworks don't tap their feet.
Or twitch.
And look at his arm too. We've seen a scarf like that somewhere else around here, haven't we?
Take that!
The telltale sign that instantly proves whether or not this old man is a waxwork is the obvious twitch. Even the most realistic waxworks do not exhibit a twitch. In other words, this splendid old man is in fact a genuine member of Scotland Yard. Slight shift in your choice of adjectives then. And there you have it. Well, Madame Tispels. Well, what? It was me who contacted the police and demanded that someone come in the first place. He is clearly fatigued. He is sound asleep. But then, what's this tag about showing a price of 3 pence? No doubt the price tag of the muffler, which the old Bobby purchased recently at the local market. And I presume you've observed the scarf tied around his arm. Does that not strike you, Mr. Naruhodo? Yes, the secret sign used by detectives to show that some criminal activity is currently underway.
Of course, because as you know, there has been just such criminal activity happening here. As you deduced from the very beginning, Detective.
It would seem that we finally arrive at the truth. The waxwork of the especially ruthless killer from the special exhibit has been kidnapped. And Scotland Yard are already investigating. But the model's whereabouts remain a mystery. Thus concludes Herlock Sholmes' great deduction of this horrifying puzzle. There we go. Still a mystery. Let's go.
All sorts of people visit my museum here. Men and women, young and old. Sometimes they drop in just for a short time on their way back from the pub. I welcome them all. But if anyone tries to damage my exhibits, I do not take it lightly. Anyway. Your great deduction was even more enchanting than I had been led to believe. It was a pleasure, my dear madame. I'm gratified that you enjoy the spectacle. And as for your rough customer, I've no doubt he'll regain consciousness shortly and return home. What concerns me more is the waxwork from the special display, if it was indeed genuinely abducted. Yes, tragically, it was. Then I would ask you to recount to us the events surrounding the stolen waxwork, in as much detail as possible, if you please. Very well. But after I have told you what I know, I must insist that you return to your work. The talents of a great detective could be put to better use, I feel, but as you wish. Alright. Tell us more about the stolen waxwork, please. It was some days ago now, when I came in here one morning. I immediately noticed that there was a waxwork missing from the special exhibit here. It is your most prominent display, so that's why the curtains were closed. And I found the ransom note in its place.
The culprit must have broken in during the night and taken it then.
So this waxwork that was stolen, it was a model of some horrible criminal, I suppose. Of a particularly horrible criminal, in fact. The killer who left a more profound scar on society than any other, I would say. The professor.
The who? Not a name I've heard of.
So, Mr. Naruhodo, it seems the circle is complete.
Sorry?
The professor case happened at around the time I was born, didn't it?
Indeed it did, Iris. 10 years ago, a series of murders that rocked the capital. 10 years ago?
Yes, at exactly the time
that Baroque van Zieks graduated from university, in fact. What? Surely he's not saying.
So the big event that changed Mr. Reaper's life.
As you've surmised. It was the professor case. Who was this professor then?
It was a series of gruesome murders that had all of London gripped in terror a decade ago. After 5 victims were killed, the man was arrested and put to death.
And now he's immortalized here in wax for all Londoners to admire and enjoy. Though, of course, he happens to be absent at present, on account of the abduction. But I don't understand. How is all this related to Lord van Zieks? You must first understand, my dear fellow, why it is that the professor earned such infamy. It was due to the victims he chose, some of Whitehall's finest.
What do you mean, Hurley?
Those murdered by the professor were some of the highest members of the British aristocracy. Members of the nobility, even royalty. It sends shockwaves through the country's administration. Members of the... Wait, of course! What Professor Clement said. Lord van Zieks is from a family with noble blood.
Oh gosh!
It was the 5th victim that led to the professor's arrest. The last of the killer's prey was a young noble by the name of Clint van Zieks. Oh, I don't believe it. Van Zieks. I'm sure you can piece together the rest for yourself. In the wake of his older brother's murder, the young Baroque pursued a career as a prosecutor. So he did have a brother then. And eventually became the Reaper we know today. I had no idea Lord van Zieks had such a tragic past. Well, I'm afraid that's all I can say on the matter, for the time being at least. After all, I have work to do. As a waxwork exhibit.
I'm afraid I shall have to excuse myself as well. Oh, yes, of course. It's been a pleasure. Thank you. Well, none of the predicted scenarios I've been analyzing involved you coming to visit me here. Ooh. It's been too long, it really has. I'm delighted to see you, Barak. It's been 10 years, and here we are, meeting in a prison of all places. I can't forgive myself for what happened to Mr. Assman. I just can't. I still can't believe it could happen. Tomorrow, the court will decide. Yes! I have a young Eastern man acting for my defense. He seems reliable enough, though. It was an accident. A terrible accident. He assures me he can prove it. I must warn you. Oh, I know. I've heard already. You're going to be prosecuting, aren't you? Yes. As I return to England, I've heard lots of stories. Rock, are you really... What? Never mind. I know that you have my best interests at heart. My friend is on trial. I wouldn't entrust it to anybody else. Of course, I fully understand. Thank you, Barak. Until tomorrow, then. I'll see you in court.
Yes! To be continued. Oh my god, it's been almost 3.5 hours. That was like way longer than I thought it would be. I swear, like just fucking last time I was like, oh, no. Each chapter seems to be like 2 hours long. Nuh-uh. Apparently not. Apparently not. Huh. Anyways, I'm gonna leave this here. And I am going to continue this on Tuesday. So, I hope to see you then. And until then, goodbye, good night, farewell, hope you have a good night. Bye-bye. Thank you for being here. Goodbye.